I know. Let's just start with the best damn intro in the business. Welcome to the show. BALLBUSTERS Live, episode 120 something. As usual, if you'd like to support this channel, there are PayPal and Patreon links in the info box below. Let's head on over to Discord, hand it off to the MC of ceremonies, the distinguished Nathan Oakley. Nathan Oakley, sir.
Good evening. How you all doing out in YouTube land? Like, comment, share, subscribe. Or, alternatively, if you've got 5 minutes to spare, you could just rewind the intro and listen to it again.
Yeah,
Neil.
You haven't complained about that too much this time around. The first time, you made it known that you weren't too impressed, but this time you went a little bit lighter with the intro.
He was
talking to Adam or suggesting that I've taken it easy on Adam.
Yeah, you've taken it easy on all of us.
Adam explained the hidden benefits, which I was unaware of until this evening.
You see, during the intro, he was just espousing the positive benefits it's actually had direct on his life.
Like what?
He can afford to be a little bit late. He's got plenty of time. If we pay, make a coffee. Talk to me about his computer problems.
Had a fun little back and forth about what news anchors would do, you know, and they raise the lights on the news studio while they're being handed over to from a weatherman or an outside broadcaster. And it looks like they're just having a little chit chat back and forth. Alternatively, when they raise the lights, we were just joking about what they were saying while they're smiling and pretending to talk to each other. Like, I ain't working with you. I really do. You just sicken me. Tonight's top story.
Yeah, I got you.
Well, we were saying that about you.
That's fine.
I mean, hypothetically talking about someone unrelated.
Okay, I can handle it. I'm securing myself. It's fine. I have been charged recently with being somewhat aggressive.
Recently? Yes, this is quite the revelation.
I was beside myself. I was shocked.
I think you're quite the peach.
I also heard that I do make things awkward.
That what his job don't know.
I'm not talking about Jad Doe, Numpty. Yeah, this has nothing to do with him.
If you're in the grocery line or, I don't know, church, which you're not, you're in a debate format, I could understand that being an indictment. But surely it's a particular quality, as long as it's honed in the debate arena.
You're making an analogy. I was about to say, no, Kiwi doesn't go to the grocery line. He has a man for that.
I don't have a man for that. I have a woman for that.
That.
You've also been accused of being quite sexist on this show.
Me?
Yes, you.
No.
To be honest, yes, I'd be sexist. I don't want to be married to a bloke doing my shopping. I would insist on a woman for that role.
Okay. Because women have different taste buds and that.
I just wouldn't want to marry a bloke.
Well, that kind of goes without saying. Unless you're homosexual. And perhaps you would.
Which I'm not, you see. So that's why, it's not sexist. It's just taste. Personal preference.
Things and roundabouts.
Law.
What is that exactly? Sexist. What is that?
Things and roundabouts. It's like a kinky cage that you'd strap yourself into.
That's not what sexist is.
Are you asking me to define what sexism is?
I think you don't have to go get the official definition. Just give me a rough overview.
We're going to go in now. Why are we discussing this again? Just because you're considered a little bit sexist by the opinionated masses? By that I mean one person. Said
yeah. By the way, by everyone, you meant just one.
Yes, everyone thinks you're a bit sexist on this show.
I don't.
Yeah, I'm not sexist in the
I-
least. You can ask Flatsy. That's just a bold-faced lie.
I tend to apply the Nielsen standard to this, like, you know, with the ratings for the TV.
Yeah.
If you get a Nielsen box and it registers that you've tuned in for more than whatever it is, 7 minutes or however long they rate it on now, well, you're representative of about 20,000 people with that box. Your viewing habits are akin to 20 other thousand people that are just basically the same as you. Maybe that's where the NPC meme's born out of. You know, most people do very similar things to each other. Or if not, there's going to be someone out there that's doing something very similar to what you're doing right now.
Is that 68% factual or 53?
I think it is about 20,000. I mean, I only know because I applied to do it once, many, many years ago, because I had the novelty of actually having a TV. This is when I had enough money to pay for the TV license and subscriptions for TV services. But I was like, oh, okay, so you can represent what the masses, you know, watch. I'm like, okay, I'll do that. I just studied it. In here in the UK, I think it was 20,000 people that the box represents. In other words, you know, they give you the numbers. Well, 5 million people tuned into this show at whatever time. Well, they only know that from, you know, extrapolating out Nielsen ratings.
How do they know that? How do they know how many people are tuning in?
I just told you like 20 seconds ago.
No, technically, how do they know?
You get a little box and it just registers. It's connected up. Back in the day, it was with a SCART lead, but it just registers and logs if you're staying tuned in for more than a certain fixed period. In other words, you are genuinely watching the show, as opposed to you watch it for 2 minutes, go, this is garbage, and flick the channel. When you stay tuned in, it just makes a log of it. And like I say, they get those ratings and extrapolate them out into general masses and how many people have watched something when they tell you 20,000 people tuned into the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Whatever the numbers are.
You're not answering my question.
They technically do it with a SCART lead.
With a what?
SCART lead. A little box that's connected up to your TV box, basically.
Okay.
Just a physical box.
But what does it send a signal to the Nielsen guys or people monitoring that I'm tuned into their station or not watching, you know, Yosemite Sam?
Each night, a little magical fairy comes to your window ledge, knocks on it. You pass it a little envelope that spits out the box. It flies back to headquarters, and
yeah,
that's how it works.
I'd like for somebody to let me know. I'm sure they can do it. I just want to know how.
Of course, the fairies can do it. They're very well trained.
I need to know that. I'm gonna go figure that out.
Okie dokie, you do that.
Meanwhile, I tried to give you a hanging watermelon-sized curveball with the 68% factual, but you didn't seem to climb aboard.
Well, it's not actually my joke. It's a Vic Reeves joke. I think it's something. The statistic, for obvious reasons, after the fact, will make sense that it doesn't matter what I say in terms of the number here. But I think it's something along the lines of 57.3% of all statistics are made up on the spot.
You're still not getting it. Adam, can you explain it to him?
Oh, I'm lost.
You're lost. You can't even remember.
Simon Dan.
You can't
Simon
remember
Dan.
yesterday with Simon Dan. Thank you, Brian.
Yeah,
My head was
That was painful.
the SCART lead, unfortunately.
No, whatever happened yesterday generally gets absolved from memory after a night's sleep. I can typically not remember what happened yesterday.
That makes sense. I can understand that.
You should be able to. You replayed it this morning.
Oh, the stream that we recorded yesterday.
No, we didn't do anything. You recorded it surreptitiously.
Surreptitiously, I'm sat here in front of my computer, mic set up, desk in front of me, OBS open, and you're puzzling over me recording because I've done it surreptitiously. Hardly.
I didn't know you were recording that.
Always recording.
I know.
Always. Because sometimes there's something good that happens. And if you're not recording, I mean, you know that's not true with the book. I've changed that habit in terms of, you know, stopping and starting the recording. with the exception of doing the book editing, you just have to always record. You never know when you're going to catch something that's good. Because we basically, after the fact, I was like, we basically covered what I was intending to do on Monday on the live stream. But on a live stream, there's a good chance that 10 to the hour, 50 minutes in, you'll turn up and you'll be needing breakfast. Whereas you'd done it with such gusto that I was like, this is worthy of broadcast. There was a few bits in it that I was like, this isn't exactly perfect. And don't get me wrong, if I were to say acutely, we'll be using this, I'd have to, number one, have a DeLorean to know that it was going to be worthy of trimming out. And number two, you often go off your game when someone tells you, well, this is going really well, I'm going to record this. And suddenly you go, oh, everyone dries up.
Sure. And to be fair to you, you have said many times through the years that consider yourself being recorded, more or less. I'll paraphrase, whenever you're in my presence. Something that I
basically consider it that I always consider that if you see me, I'm recording. Why? Well, because that's what I do for a living. It's a shock. Yes, I am going to trim this out and potentially turn it into a video. I wouldn't be here unless I was. There are exceptions, obviously. Like now, I've got OBS open, but I'm not recording because you are, and there's no need to. If, let's say, for the sake of argument, after the fact, after show starts getting exciting, then yeah, there's a good chance I'll be recording it, but I'm not going to announce it.
just to let you know, I'm not recording.
Live streaming, aren't you? Do you not
I'm
record as well as live stream?
I'm live streaming, but I'm not recording locally.
I don't blame you. It's very taxing on the computer.
It is. I used to do it for the first couple years and put it on my 10 gigawatt friggin' memory stamp over here, and I said, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah, I record it all, and it does take absolutely enormous amount of space and quite a lot of processing headroom to do it.
Sure.
So I record with my GPU, and then I encode the live stream with the integrated GPU on my CPU. Then the CPU runs the computer, and if I'm playing a game, there's P cores, like to quality cores to run a game on. So I've split up all the load so it's spread out across the computer. Not that anybody's particularly interested in this in a live stream.
They're not. Thank you. They're not. Appreciate that background. I was just surprised when I woke up this morning and I said, okay, let me check my notifications, and then I hit you because you had a video. I didn't look at what the title was. I just hit him and hit play. And then I hear myself on there. Going through sci-fi scams nonsense. Just it took me by surprise a little bit when it shouldn't have. You're correct.
I've got to be honest, I did actually have to listen to quite large chunks of it back myself, because while it was recording, I just nipped off and did things, put the kids to bed, did the dishwasher, and then sat down every so often, like, where are they at? What are they listening to? All right, they're at this bit, okay. And then I'll put my 2 pennyworth in.
Superchat.
Super Tramp.
Yeah, Booger's not here today. He's with his grandparents.
Aww.
So why did I even show up? Tony Whitcomb, he said, Simon Dan can demonstrate a molten iron core, but only when he's asleep.
Okay.
Should plug my own video as it has come out, although, as you can probably tell from what we've just talked about, a lot of it is QE and Adam and Brian and whoever else was there discussing this.
Brian wasn't there.
Anyway, he was there 2 weeks ago.
He wasn't there yesterday.
Simon Dan.
No,
Simon
I
Dan
just listened to it. Go on.
Just plug it, and then we can hopefully talk about it a lot. Simon Dan Response 2024 is the name of the video. That's basically us going through the video that Dan made about me in regards to the molten iron core. I don't really know why he picked that particular subject.
Because he's stupid.
He did, for whatever reason. That's troubling people at the moment, perhaps.
Hey, thanks a lot for...
I'm not going.
Hold on. Thanks a lot for the super chat, Tony. Is this just cut and dry, your super chat, or is there a deeper meaning in here? Because I'm just, off the cuff, it seems like you're saying that Simon Dan can demonstrate a molten iron core in his dreams, or is there deeper layers in here? You don't have to super
It's an
chat it back,
inception.
Tony. Just tell us. Go ahead,
There's
Brian.
two deeper meanings to that super chat. This isn't Inception.
It can be. Go ahead, Brian.
I can't remember what I was going to say. oh,
Is
oh,
it
hang
about
on.
the Simon Dan thing.
Yes. I just lost it there for a moment. Isn't it funny the way when it gets to, I'm not going to say much so people can watch the video, won't ruin it for them, but isn't it funny when our opposition get to the point of, oh no, my argument is over, they just hand wave away that point. It's just like, never mind that thing, the thing that destroys my argument. Every time, never mind that. We can just ignore that part.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Never mind that. Yes. I just had an
It's like
idiot.
he's teaching.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Nathan.
Go on.
Then
I
I'll
was
go.
gonna say, it's like he's
Then
teaching
I'll
the
go.
masses how to hand.
Then I'll go.
Thanks. I'm glad. I'll wait. I'll wait.
Okay. Thank you.
It's like he's. I'm no worries. You're welcome. It's like he's teaching the masses how to hand wave dismiss en masse. Okay, so the point is X. That isn't important. Like, okay, so all you're doing is teaching the world how to ignore any relevant points. He also had a glaring contradiction in there, which was to say, at some point he said something like it's not a permanent magnet. Adam's response to it was to say, "Oh right, is it just a magnet between the hours of 8 and 5 then? What the hell
Yeah,
is he
I know.
talking about?"
Yeah, that one threw
If
me.
you-
I was like, huh? What? Tony wrote back.
Jiu-jitsu, isn't it?
No, hold up. We'll get back to that.
Jiu-jitsu.
Just relax. So Tony wrote back. He said, "In Narnia, QE. I mean, so what? Okay, so Simon then can demonstrate was there a molten iron core in Narnia? See, it's not lining up,
Yeah,
Tony. I'm
yeah.
sorry.
What powers the street lamps?
Is it demonstrated in Narnia that the molten iron core powers the street lamps, or is it implicit?
Implicit.
Oh boy.
Implicit in Tony's dream.
We're off the rails now, heading to complete Narnia abstract line.
I want to take you off.
Let
the
me
rails.
get it back on track.
Okay.
No, I want to go off the rails properly.
All right.
Let me
Go with Brian. Go ahead, Brian.
Ah,
Yeah, just on that point where our opposition keep on getting to the point where it's devastating and they just hand wave it away. I'm literally running into that now. It's taken a few years, but I've gotten to the point where they're starting to tell me in mass, including from a commercial pilot on our opposing side, that the pitch data, you won't see any pitch below horizontal if you think you're going to. That's not how it works. It's like, yeah, I know. Welcome to flat out. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, if you're expecting to see pitch below horizontal, Brian, you know what I mean? You might be waiting a long time for that. That's what they're literally saying to me. Loads of comments.
Are we gonna have to go
Yeah.
over this? Are we gonna have to go over this video again?
Which video?
Yours, or sci-fi scams?
No, that's wasn't enough meat on it. That was the problem. No, the hand wave dismissal, employment of a couple of logical fallacies, few personal attacks. There wasn't enough in there. He hasn't got the intellect to actually offer us anything as a challenge. In other words, as a cursory look, literally having never seen it. Can you pop Says Who on mute? I don't know why he's Says Who. You're causing a bit of audio chaos.
Yeah, I was sorry.
It's okay. No worries. There's not enough meat left on it to cover it beyond what we've already done, in my humble opinion.
Well, I didn't.
It
I wasn't
doesn't leave
doing
you
it.
much.
I'm sorry. I wasn't doing it for any extra meat. I was just per our audience. They don't know what I'm talking about, or I'd be assuming that they watched your video this morning.
Well, I can plug my video. They can go and watch my video with your hard work being on display for everyone.
Okay, go ahead.
Divergent Droid's done a grand job. He's already posted it in the chat.
He's
for
already
everyone,
okay.
so it's just
Fair
sat
enough.
there.
But on this same subject, but coincidentally about another video which I do get to plug as a consequence, Matthew learned bit that he came along, it ended up being like an hour and 50 minutes or something that he spent in our company. So as much as I despise teachers when it comes to this subject, because they kind of reveal how deceitful they're prepared to be in our company. They don't seem to have as much shame, and you get to see the behind the mask in some ways, which kind of makes me a bit angry with teachers especially. But now, after a night's sleep, Matthew learns, more power to him in terms of him spending a good chunk of time with us trying to obfuscate, but ultimately giving concessions where often we don't get them. In the case of measuring Earth flat with right-angled triangles, he conceded to that point. Now, in that particular video, which the longer, it's only 4 minutes, but the longer of the two, there's a shorts video version as well, called Zero Survivors or Lost at Sea with Biola University maths professor Matthew Learns. In that video, one of the commenters underneath it said, I had a baller tell me that, oh, well, Earth is functionally flat enough for me to blah, 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 blah. I'm like, yeah, exactly. People are starting to recognize our opponents require Earth to be flat. Where they've offered up an apology within the claim and people have latched onto the apology because it's begging the question of sphericity, we've started to stop, take a step back and go, whoa, was your first statement, I'll measure Earth flat, for all this garbage that we used to argue with and have done for 10 years? Was your first statement, I'll just measure this Earth flat? There's just this bit, though. Yeah, they do. Yeah, they absolutely require it to be flat. And that message just lifted my spirits when I read it. Like, yeah, seeing it come from a commenter, it's all well and good me saying it for 7 months. When you see a commenter just go, oh yeah, I recognise that a ball believer was utilising prerequisite need for a flat Earth to move his claim on. Yeah, they measure Earth flat too. That's right. And it did, like I say, I can't remember who it is to shout them out. If you were the one who left that comment, thank you. It really cheered me up.
Did
Hold
you hear any of what I said?
on. Get ready for this one. We got Timmy Clown in chat. I just happened to look over. I can't believe you've been out here longer than me. How long has he been out here? Was he out here when you came out here, Nathan?
I think he was actually out on the circuit before me, but he just wasn't covering flat Earth.
So 10 years, at least 10 years, right?
Yeah, he's been around for 10 years.
Here's his question. Do quantum eraser experiments happen in the natural world with non-man-made equipment?
Okay, so let's break that down. So he's seen the headline and heard or glanced over some of the article. In some of the article, he's seen these words like natural and gone, all right, so everything must be natural. It's called an all or nothing fallacy. Oh, Dumbo. Phenomena you're observing is natural. Yeah, your independent variable, that's to say the thing that you're going to vary to try and induce that effect that you studied in nature, a naturally occurring effect. Yeah, what you vary and manipulate must be real, must be your independent variable in the hypothesis, and it must be capable of variation by you. That's it. You've got a naturally occurring phenomena that you're studying. As for the apparatus having to be natural, oh yeah, I'll just go and whittle. No, I'm not allowed to whittle a test tube out of wood, am I? I've got to go and find a natural test tube if it's required in the apparatus. No. All you need to do is vary and manipulate that which you assume causes the effect to see if you induce it. And upon that variation, you might need clamp to hold on to it, the thing you're varying. I mean, I'm being very crass, but yeah, you might need some man-made stuff to fulfill your requirement of variation of a presumed cause.
His requirement.
In an attempt to induce effect. Natural.
Timmy, are you retarded? I said that's a serious question. You got to be retarded after all this time. I mean, number one, there isn't an experiment that's been done in the history of the world that doesn't have a man-made device in it. Are you listening to Witsit again? I heard your train wreck exposition on Nathan's show. You sound like you're listening. You're like a Witsit simp because you had some of the same watchwords like "bruh," a couple other ones too. Are you that stupid?
That's just how he talks. It's nothing to do with Witsit.
Oh yes, it does. Re-listen to that. Oh, yes, it does.
Hold on, I've got to stop you. If anything, you could accuse Witsit of nicking it off Tim Osman. He's just, tries to sound like some surfer dude.
No,
He's cool
no,
with
no. You need to re-listen to that again. I heard some. I can't think of them specifically, but it was a telltale sign. Don't you know what experiments are after 10 years, dude? What? Do quantum eraser experiments happen in the natural world? That's non sequitur. With non-man-made equipment?
It's nonsensical.
What?
are there any
Hold on a
experiments
second, Adam. What is non-man-made equipment? What is that?
natural equipment, natural vices.
I think it's just clearly he wasn't paying attention when you've said it all this time, and now he thinks he's bringing up some good point against what you've said in the past when he wasn't paying attention to what you said.
Yeah.
I would say, sorry.
No, go ahead, Brian, and then Adam. Adam, I didn't forget about you. Go ahead, Brian.
Thank you, Kiwi. No, I would say flat C is probably the closest to the truth. I would say it, correct me if I'm wrong, I'd say it's more of a case of he spent 10 years making a point of not listening. And now he's trying to argue against the thing he didn't listen and learn about.
Go ahead, Adam.
He survived on rumpusing tactics, trying to maintain control of the debate by having control of the questioning process. If you've got that control because you're a bit of a troll and you'll bend the rules as far as they'll be bent, you'll get away with it right up until the point that you're up against people who know more than you. You're just pitiful.
No, we never had different.
We
never had different prereqs for experiments. You're delusional, along with being a moron. Go ahead, Adam.
I mean, what would be my point? It's the construction of the question shows your lack of understanding. I'm not sure what experiments happen outside of the natural world. Anyway, what should I use? Sheep in testing for a test tube. It's nonsensical, but what it does show is how irrelevant these pitiful little people have become, and how their argumentation is diminished to the point of just basically ridicule. Yeah, there's nothing there that's worth dealing with. In fact, all it does is demonstrate that he hasn't learned anything in the 10 years he's been hanging around.
Yep.
It's quite sad, Timmy boy, really.
Not shocking. They've gotten dumber.
Well, I think the problem is... Sorry.
They just haven't progressed. They haven't got dumber. He's just stayed exactly where he was 10 years ago.
Well, that leads straight on to what I was going to say, actually, Nathan. So I'm happy you interrupted me. The problem is that Timmy and all the other people like him have spent 10 years telling themselves we have nothing to teach them. That they're the teachers. That they're the ones who should be telling and teaching us things and telling us stuff and teaching us things. They never thought for a moment that any of us would have anything to teach them. And now 10 years later, he forms a question like that, showing that he never learned anything because he was too arrogant to accept that there was other people who weren't believers in any kind of a globe who had things to teach him. And now that's what he comes up with 10 years later. What an embarrassment.
It reminds me of that meme that I told you about. There's a guy and he's driving a really posh sports car and he sees this pretty girl from high school. Obviously she's grown up, but she's walking down the street. He goes, "Hey, Sarah, remember me? Yeah, you said I'd amount to nothing. Look at my sports car. Look at my watch. Look at my suit. Where are you? Where are you?" She looks back at him and you see her point of view. It's just this crackhead in the middle of the street going, "Hey, Sarah, you remember me?" That's what I see Tim Osman as.
That's a twisted analogy.
So Tim Osman and, if I may, Tim Osman and Simon Dan are kind of the same in this scenario, right? Because Simon Dan was essentially saying this morning that, no, Dumbo, the Curie point is at 1500 we're at 4,000, or the actual claim is 9,000. So well beyond the Curie point. And, of course, P and S waves have to come in at angles requiring a flat plane. So he was essentially saying, you and your molten iron core have been ruined, essentially.
I don't know why I attempted to have a jab. I mean, what it made me do is kind of reflect in a way that I hadn't done before. So in a way, I can thank him. So years ago, I got really pissed and really wanted to address all of the points. And as I probably just, I don't know if I said this on the pre-show or in the live show, I forget now. But while you guys were doing that recording, I say you guys, us. I was doing other things. My priorities was getting the dishwasher done and getting the kids off to bed and things like that. Right. In other words, it wasn't a very high priority. Whereas what I did take offence of was him not putting a link. Like, well, some people might view that badly. They're like, right, so your priorities was your YouTube hat, and him not putting a link when all you do all day long is say, right, go and tell this person that Nathan Oakley sent me, help him in the YouTube algorithmic love, even though they got 2 million subs, all that sort of stuff. So when he didn't put a link, I was a little bit pissed. I won't lie, but you think, well, hang on a second, that isn't the Nathan from 2 years ago. Nathan from 2 years ago was far more insecure about his position, therefore would have been so keen to get every little detail corrected on Simon Dunn's nonsensical hand wave. Like I say, it's just the level of security that I hope to put out to the audience when I'm telling them Earth's measured flat. And One Deck does this as well. He's like, no, it puts you at ease. He's kind of echoing this sentiment that I'm trying to put out now. Kind of, you care less because you aren't enthusiastic, or you're not still enamored with the world that is in front of you when you've got your eyes a little bit more wide open. You care less about the people who berate you and belittle you and demand that you change their mind. Kind of, they become that little bit inconsequential, because prior to now, when you're arguing with them, in many ways, and I speak for myself, you're actually internally battling with your own perhaps lack of full understanding of Earth being, in this case, keep the theme, measured flat. A stone cold understanding. Now, don't get me wrong, while I'm going through this, there's going to be people like Brian and QE who are thinking, I knew it's flat. I knew it 10 years ago, and good for them. I'm not one of them, and I'd rather be honest with my audience. And they've heard me, hopefully, over the years being honest and saying things like, well, that's not for me, or
Yes.
I don't like that proof.
Yep.
Yeah, well, that's me being honest.
Sure.
Yeah. But I can now say to the audience, well, there's going to be a lot of people without realizing it, would say, yeah, I know it's flat. Well, but you don't, do you? Think you know it's flat. What we call a belief. Yeah. Well, hopefully over the course of years, more flat earthers are at ease with their position and their lot in life, and they're based on a flat plane. Less hostility and animosity amongst the separate globe Earth / flat Earth factions there may be, because we'll stop caring. Oh, you're one of those guys who still thinks boats fall over an edge. Okay, well, good for you. But don't you want to tell me how it's flat? Not really. Go away. I don't care.
Hey.
I mean, like I say, I do, but I don't want to label that. Go ahead.
Yeah. Can I stop you? This is a really important point. I'm glad you brought. I don't usually look at chat skanks, but this is a really good one, because I forgot about this. So Timmy Clown in chat, he's off his experiment. He doesn't even know what it is. He says this will get a good laugh, but there's a follow-on point, so I'll just tell you what he said. I was the one who brought the Curie point into flat Earth. Timmy Clown. Now, just hold off on that. I got a question for you, Timmy, because this has been brought up. See, I don't know who did this, whether it was you or JLB. JLB, if you want to be with me, either it was one of you two bozos that brought up the different directions of star rotations. Who did that? Was that you who brought that into this community?
Both of them. It was both of them.
Nah,
famously,
it was one of them.
JLB. It was JLB more famously because he came on and did it with me, and you were there in the sidelines laughing hysterically as he fell into the trap. Tim Osmond's also done that.
No. This was well before that. This was when I first came out here. I can't remember exactly who brought it in. It was one of those two. You know, the
Probably
star.
Timmy.
So, Timmy, was it you? I mean, since you brought the Curie point into the flat Earth, I don't think that's the case there, Sunshine. But I want to know, who was it with different star rotations in the northern latitudes versus southern latitudes? Was it you or JLB, if you want to be with me?
In terms of just while that's being figured out in the chat, with a long time delay potentially, if I don't say something right now, the Curie point argument is another Anthony Riley argument that he sort of kept under his tunic, let's just call it,
Tunic.
waiting, sitting, not telling anybody that he was primed to deliver this argument. He's done that with a few things. Huygens was another example. In this particular case, he was just waiting for someone to claim it. And when the claim came his way, he was ready to pounce. He was just sitting waiting, and it was Paul Voigt who ended up falling into this snare that Anthony had just got waiting around without anybody seeing it or knowing about it. And when Paul Voigt fell victim to the molten iron core question in regards to the Curie point, he claimed that there's loads of evidence for it. I'll be right back. He's never been back since. It's been 8 years.
Yeah.
But that was Anthony Riley's doing. You know, he sat on that little jape to the point where some quite outspoken Australian dude called Paul Voigt was very bold and brash about being able to acquire some evidence for this molten iron core. There isn't any. You guys idiots.
Yeah,
You have to scratch the surface, no pun intended, very deeply, no pun intended. Figure out that they haven't got the slightest idea what's below about 12K. Bunch of idiots.
That's old school. And Anthony's Tunic? Really, that was a good one, man. It's a visual.
Like he's a solicitor, and I should have said wig. That would imply that he's on the High Court, and he's not. So
Yeah,
it's not a QC.
Timmy Clown's not answering that question, and that's been a question of mine for a long time. I just wanted to ask him about it. Of course, he's stonewalling me now. I need to know who brought that dumbass argument into this community. So I guess I could leave that go.
Would you agree with my assessment of Simon Dan training the masses on how to hand wave? That's effectively all he did in his video, right?
Why are you
It doesn't matter about the Curie point. It doesn't
why are
matter
you
about
trying
the
to get
temperature.
back to
Doesn't matter
sci-fi
about...
scam the whole time? Why are you trying to do that?
Well, I want to also talk about my thing. So
Well,
I don't think we're allowed to do that on the show.
I feel like it was missed.
There's no talking about your thing on this show.
Himself.
Hey, there's no talking about your thing on this show, Brian. That's not allowed.
Brian.
What I meant was I tried to corral it earlier into what I was hoping would generate conversation. And I got nothing. I got like tumbleweeds.
Yeah, because it was red herring fallacies away from the discussion.
It was directly in line with what I said about the Simon Dan thing. And I thought that, never mind.
Don't drag it out. Just be brave. Just go
say
in
it.
for the kill again. Ham-handed segue. Go for it.
What did I say last time, Nathan?
You're talking about the pitch data. How the
Right,
people
what did
ignore
I say
it.
about
And say it's that the people are hand-waving it and ignoring it in essence.
No, that's not what I said.
He
That's
said
all I
It's very difficult to come by, and why the...
No, you didn't listen to it.
No, he said he wanted the pitch data from the final experiment. Remember?
No.
Yeah.
Go back. No, listen. No wonder I got tumbleweed. Go back to what you're talking about.
Right, what we all
The
hear
final
in Brian
experiment.
books, after we just say, oh, isn't he polite? He's so thankful when we hand the mic to him. I'll go and get a brew. Obviously, neither a QE or I listened. Or we did, but it didn't sink in. So, yeah, we'll just take this on the chin, I believe. I'm going to do it with QE by my side, you notice. It's me and him taking it on the chin.
No, don't put me in that basket. Good,
What
Brian.
was he saying, QE? Oh, well, I'll just join in and bully you with Brian. So what was he saying, QE? Let's put all of this on QE now.
I have no idea.
No, actually, no. It was only along the
Outrageous.
lines of what you said about Simon Dan. Like, when I brought up when I was saying earlier about how Simon Dan just hand waved away the Curie point issue. Just that don't matter. It's like that's the very thing that completely debunks all your nonsense.
No,
You know, the very thing you need-
no, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. Get him, Adam.
See, yesterday's conversation or this morning's show will demonstrate it's easy to get drawn, but there's a point in the conversation where
I know what
You know
you're
what?
going to say. Yeah, you're
Can I
begging the
make
question.
it?
With
Let
it.
him
I
say it.
get
Let him
on
say
that.
it. He's
Let him
yes,
say
thank you for the
it.
question. Let him say it. Let's all rumpus it.
Oh,
I mean, let him say it.
it's all very good. Clean our intellectual balls discussing Curie points, isn't it? Because we can stretch and show how much research we've done. In doing that, we actually take the bait straight away to discuss the Curie point of what? Something that's not even been demonstrated.
To exist.
Yeah, I understand that, but I'm not talking about me debating Simon Dan. I'm talking about that point coming up and him hand waving it away.
We
It's
know.
like within what he's talking about.
Yeah,
Sorry?
you got it. Yeah, you're right. But it's killed way before that. But you're correct. And we knew that you knew that. But we're just dogging you out because you like to beg the question fallacy with them and then go all the way down the line to the 10th begging the question fallacy and destroy them down there too, Brian. That's a Brian
We
gender.
love him for it. Let me just unpack this for the audience's benefit, though. So what we're saying is, in the housekeeping questions, if you're familiar with it, we ask any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a, here it comes, presupposed spherical Earth. Well, the entire essence of the discussion, when we're, as Adam puts it, you know, expanding out our intellectual prowess and showing how much we know about Curie points, we're missing the fact that we're into there begging the question fallacy that there is a molten iron core to begin with. That's just totally assumed on the part of our opponent, in this case Simon Dan. Like, okay, so long as we can all together, you and I, assume there is a molten iron core, we'll discuss whether or not that assumed now to be real on both sides core would or wouldn't develop a molten iron core magnetic field. Because we've definitely got the core, we're all talking about it. It's just whether or not it does something. Adam, at one point in that unpacking of Simon Dan's video, was quick to say, hang on, what are we doing here? What core? why are we talking about this?
Yeah.
What core? You want to show us that core? That's the point, isn't it? You know,
Yes.
without realizing it, you get into your intellectual flexing of your muscles without realizing that you're begging the question on behalf of your opponent.
Yes. Well, let's ask Brian a question with the reasonable equivalence. So let's say, Brian, somebody comes up to you and starts asking you or inquiring about how rockets work in a vacuum. Are you going to belabor the point about rockets working in a vacuum, or are you just going to destroy it with the second law of thermodynamics, Brian?
I'm going to go straight to entropy. I'm not going to entertain that nonsense. No, it's the same with the molten iron core. I mean, the core of what? That's going to be my first question.
All right.
You know what I mean? So you don't have to worry about that.
It's becoming an internal discussion. Okay, so again, I've got to unpack this for the audience. What we're discussing is there's a fine line, right? So I make this very black and white when I talk about our 2024 Earth measured flat rhetoric, which is to say, on the black side, you've got, once you know how Earth's measured, that is to say flat, you can walk away. On with your life, don't worry about it. Now, if on the other hand, here's the white side of it, if you want to debate about this, you need to know the ins and outs, intricacies of every fallacy and how their model works in order to unpack it when they present it to you, then go back to how Earth is measured flat for their claim. You do need to know their position and their arguments. Now, for us as a team, we're always trying to strike that balance. That's exactly what we're talking about now. Now, we're negging Brian by essentially saying, you go into the paradigm for too long without coming back. Now, that's not true. Brian can very quickly bring it back to the very relevant point of how Earth is dealt with, and he does. We're just saying, in that very critiqued line that we're discussing here, suggesting that Brian's a tiny bit over it, so that's going to get exaggerated to the nth degree, of course. I've done it too. You know, only recently I was discussing the elevation of the gradient, and after the fact I'm like, haven't I done a good job? And QE's like, what are you doing? What are you arguing about what space gradients should do? second law of thermodynamics violation. And I'm like, I proved a flat plane with it. No! You need to debunk it first. Oh, yeah, I did kind of forget to do, or don't!
It wasn't like that at all. They're just freaking over exaggerating, like my wife.
I like my little skits.
Yeah. But Brian, he likes doing that. Not that they fool him with that, but he just enjoys doing it, and he does it to the nth degree sometimes. He's guilty.
Yeah, I do, because I know that they don't know their own paradigm. And I feel sometimes if I can show an audience that I know their paradigm better than them, this is part of the reason that I'm still, without a doubt, a flat earther. That means I must be a flat earther for a reason, considering I know their paradigm better than they do. Do you know what I mean? Ooh, yeah, he knows all this even better than them, and he's still a flat earther. So there must be a good reason why he is. But there's also I suppose I'm a little bit sadistic with it too, because I put up with when I first got into this, listening to a lot of them talk a lot of rubbish, and maybe it's just it's more that they like to bully people as well. It's more they especially enjoyed it when flat earthers turned up in 2015. They liked to bombard them with nonsense about the globe that flat earthers didn't know much about at the time. Stuff like that. So I like that. I like to take them apart within their own paradigm for that reason. Because they're bullies. When they can get away with it, they'll be bullies, and nobody likes bullies,
especially retarded ones.
Yeah. I thought I had a head start in that regard, because I was one of those guys, obviously pre-flat Earth. I was dead into NASA. I was subscribed to their channel. I had their emails. I still do. I still get Science at NASA updates via email. Haven't read one for about 10 years. Back in the day, I was very keen to know about the latest space endeavours. So, people assumed when I turned to a flat earther that, well, obviously you won't have the slightest idea about anything heliocentric. Or you're like, well, actually, I'm reasonably well versed in it. As we all are now, we're all way ahead of the curve in terms of the expertise that's generally on show from your average heliocentrist. Most people who are in this panel now, I would like to bet, are ahead of most globers, general anti-flat earthers even, in their heliocentric knowledge. Can't help but learn stuff about how heliocentrism works. And when I was learning sort of more complex things within heliocentrism about orbital motion, you have to kind of admire it. It's, in my opinion, quite beautiful in terms of the way it's laid out. It doesn't mean it's real. That kind of appreciation must have been bestowed on some flat earthers when they've come to this subject after the fact, because there's a good chance that they don't know anything about heliocentrism. They just think they're on a ball because they were told at school, and that's kind of it, and they watch their space programs, and they've never given it any real consideration. They've never looked up any of the books. They've certainly not been looking through telescopes. So for your average Joe, when they come to being a flat earther, they're suddenly getting a crash course in something that they having to learn, even though they previously believed in it anyway, without knowing any of it. So they're coming from a very weak position. Debate. Those people just shouldn't debate, should they? It's like, you don't know your opponent's side, formerly your own side. How are you expected to be able to debate against anybody?
Well, I think the thing about it is that they don't look into it as far as we have in general, as far as flat earthers have in general, because when they go that far into it, I think a lot of them, that will reach a point of critical mass of ridiculousness, where they'll go, I can't keep believing in this thing because it's after becoming so ridiculous I can't do it. If you know what I mean. I think some of them a lot of them can't do that.
I don't think that would infer that they'd understand it. A lot of it is shrouded in such a way that it's... Just look at the Coriolis wiki entry. Right? If you go to the Coriolis page, as a comparison to general heliocentrism, there's 5 or 6 paragraphs of complete contradictory nonsense that makes no sense. It just leaves you in a point where you go, I can't make head nor tail of this. You're suggesting that when you get to that, they go, wow, this is really stupid and contradictory. No, don't think people have their wits about them when they're looking at this stuff. There's no suspicion of there being any deceit. They're not prepared to suddenly unpack double-speak contradictions. They just go, oh, that's a bit over my head. I'll get on with my day. It was a bit too complicated for me, but that's fine. Smarter than I people have written that entry in that Wikipedia about Coriolis. Therefore, it's got to be right. I just don't understand it. But that's okay. I know my limits.
Yep, that's what happens, but they'll parrot it anyway. But they'll just parrot the headlines. You can't get into any depth. Once you're into depth with those types of folks, it's toast for them. But some of them are too stupid. You know, they'll fall right into it because their pride gets in the way. Their pride in with them, right? That's your downfall.
Like Dan, with you and your reference frames have been ruined. That is a case in point. That is a perfect textbook example. Pride gets in the way. They want me to be wrong because I'm saying you're not on a ball. So in so doing, they assess Coriolis badly and tell me that the reference frames in their globe claim are ruined. You're like, you're an idiot. Well done, debunking your own 2 reference frames, you stupid moron. You're a surface dweller, surface regurgitator, and that's left you in a position where you're being humiliated by someone who doesn't understand the subject better than you. Your pride has led you to have a little poke. I say, I don't know, that was the last thing I was going to say about Dan in this regard. I don't know what has prompted him in this regard. Why the molten iron core? Why now? I don't get it. Doesn't make any sense, but people are strange creatures, I guess.
Adam,
Well, that's the point I was making earlier, right? So
hold on a second.
Mic
I
check?
just want hold on a second. I just want to make sure one of our compadres hasn't passed out. Adam.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, sir. Go ahead. Sorry to stop you. Go on with your point.
no worries. Yeah, that was just kind of what I was bringing up earlier. He, in the same way, the hand wave dismissing or whatever you want to call it, he was going, Nathan, you're so stupid. You and your reference frames are ruined. In this case, it's Nathan, you're so stupid. The molten iron core is now 9,000 degrees instead of 1,500. So he's still, in his arrogance, debunking his own claim. You just have to wait for it.
Exactly. So that's what I was going to say. The point is, he thinks he's just got you a gotcha. Because he's obviously just done a little bit of research and realised that the melting point would change under higher pressures. He's now invoked this, and the previous cited number means that he thinks he's got a gotcha. But does it say as who was saying? Yeah, he hasn't, has he? And more fundamentally, a gotcha with what? A presupposed molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth? Laugh, son.
I think,
Well,
Nathan, he's actually... Sorry.
I just wanted to add one more point because Adam had the most intriguing points to add on this, which was the aftermath of the fundies on the anti-flat Earth side getting in touch and testing the water, dropping in a few ad-homs about me, which I wasn't too concerned about. But I was more intrigued about them testing the water and going, is this good? Can we have them with this? And Adam sort of responded to that and go by basically pointing out how telling that is. And that was the most intriguing comment from you, Adam, in that discussion, in my opinion. Go ahead, Brian. Sorry.
Well, I think what it is that when you said earlier on, someone brought up the you and your reference frames are ruined. Simon Dan has been heavily embarrassed about that. How could that not embarrass you, right? That you could get that wrong, right? Even though it took a few months after he sent it to you for you to actually realize, hang on a minute, you know, does he even realize what he's saying here? I think he's suddenly getting brave. A lot of them are getting brave because they believe that someone's going to go to Antarctica in December and see a 24-hour Antarctic sun, and then we are then gone, and they are victorious. This is what they are believing. And I think Simon Dan is suffering from some kind of confidence or courage at present, like a lot of them. Like these people who are turning back up on both sides, people coming out of the woodwork. Why? What is it? Why are you coming back? You know, what's it? How come you're suddenly courageous? Because I'm getting lots of this. Yeah, your scam is over in December. No, this kind of nonsense. It's like, no.
Yeah.
I don't run the scam and nothing is ending in December. Huh?
They've been telling us for 10 years. Well, this is a dying channel. I've got consistent growth for 10 years, but I've been told every day that It's going to die tomorrow. There'll be no flat earthers. Your grift is over. Like, what are you talking about? It's literally been 10 years now. What? Because it's been 10 years, grift ends in December. Okay, you've been saying it will end for 10 years.
Yeah.
Idiots.
Timmy Clown was the biggest proponent of that. He used to say that all the time,
Yes.
ironically.
That's right. Absolutely. Tim was one of the biggest proponents.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It'll all be over tomorrow.
Meanwhile, he's in chat.
Wishful thinking. Called wishful thinking. You hope it'll all be over tomorrow.
Wish casting. They're delusional.
Yeah, the problem is they won't be able to understand in December. If they see a 24-hour sun in Antarctica, they won't be able to understand why we're still here. We should have gone away. Do you know what I mean? That's it. It should be over in their heads because they don't understand what proof and evidence is. And when we won't be, you know what I mean? They're going to get extra vicious, really vicious, I reckon, because we won't have gone away. And we'll be making a joke out of our supposed proof that they probably won't see anyway. But the point is that even if they do, it'll be a joke. It won't mean anything. But they can't understand that.
Whoa, no, Brian. No.
Oh, okay, sorry.
We all
I'm sorry,
know
Adam.
if we see
Here we
a
go.
24-hour sun, what that means the Earth's flat and we've got a Chinook sun system. We all know what it means. It won't be going away. They'll have to deal with me.
The point is that when it gets dismissed, because like you were explaining with Tim, he's not listening. He doesn't care what we have to offer because we're inconsequential. You're going to be gone tomorrow, wishful thinking. Therefore, why listen? Well, in this instance, we're telling them. No, you're just affirming the consequent. You're assuming antipodal positioning. You're begging the question of the very thing you're trying to prove, and you stack it up in false dichotomy and say, if the Earth's flat with this global projection, Gleason's, and we stack that up in false dichotomy against my assumption that the bottom of a ball will be travelled to, okay, just ignore the flat Earth claim that you're misrepresenting and just look at what you're claiming in this false dichotomy. You're just claiming that you travel to the bottom of a ball when you go to Antarctica. That's the very premise you're trying to prove. The glorified begging the question fallacy. Yes, it's dressed up in a slightly more elaborate fallacy, which is a formal logical fallacy. That's affirming the consequent. If P, then Q, Q, therefore P. If Earth's a ball, and when I travel antipodal, I'll see 24-hour sun. I travelled antipodal, saw a 24-hour sun, therefore Earth's a ball. Like, okay, you're assuming the premise you're using will tell you that before and after you've done it. But when you come and go, ha ha, we won! You didn't, you just assumed you were on the bottom of a ball. They'll just rumpus us for 4 years. They'll share their pain over the top of it. We don't want to hear that. We want to think we won.
I was
No,
in
you just assumed you're
24/7
out,
last
you
night, 24/7 Flat Earth Discord last night, for 20 minutes explaining to. He is on the fence flat earther. He just believed the Earth was flat. He didn't understand the affirming the consequent formological fallacy of it. So it took me 20 minutes with him writing every step down. What is an affirming the consequent formological fallacy? Then connecting it with the final non-experiment statement. Yeah, this is going deep. This is going to be around for a while, ladies and gentlemen. I got the popcorn out. This is going to be a lot of fun, Brian.
Can you repeat that
the Globers
fallacy
have
10
figured
more
out
times,
that
please?
Can you repeat that fallacy?
Well,
yes,
yeah,
I can.
That's what they figured out. If you can make the fallacy a little bit more complicated than average, not just assume like Dan did with the molten iron core. Well, I just assume we've got one. Don't make it that obvious. Make the fallacy a little bit more complicated, and put a false dichotomy in for good measure. Now, your model versus our model is just a way of saying, don't notice that I'm assuming my model. That's all that means. But once we get to their model, so we're assuming we're on the bottom of your model, and we travel out towards the horizon, are we? That's how it works.
Was that a
It's
wise
really
guy?
basic, but because
I'm sorry, you weren't done. Go ahead, finish.
I wasn't.
Oh, finish up.
I was done.
Oh, okay. Was that gentleman being in here being
Yeah, what was I
facetious? Holy shit, man.
Quote the last 3 words I said verbatim.
Shut
Now,
up.
go.
I'm trying to listen
Brian.
to the guy that made the comment. I want to get on to my subject, the John gender.
Not even listening to me, is he, Brian?
Hell
I feel
no.
very rejected. I feel hurt. I want a divorce.
So, I want a divorce. That was a good one, by the way. No. Was that gentleman being facetious? Say, repeat the fallacy again? Were you just being facetious?
Just being facetious.
All right.
Because I think you repeated it like 10 times too.
Yeah, but most
That was
flatties
really
don't
good,
get
Jimmy.
it. Most you got to understand that most
by repeating it.
most flatties have fallen for this fallacy. You have to understand, right? So we got to labour it because, like I say, our own side have fallen for the fallacy. Last time this happened, it was with Netflix, and after they'd fallen for the fallacy, and then the fallacy didn't go the way they hoped it would go, then reconstructed the fallacy with a new peace statement of ether instead of earth turn.
Yep.
It really obvious to anybody who understood the fallacy that, oh, so what you're suggesting pre-experiment, in quotes, because it isn't, was to say that this will confirm or deny earth turning. Once you don't get the result you want, you can just replace earth turning with ether. Everything's perfect. No, it's the exact same fallacy. That's how easy you can just change it, like Chinook helicopter, son. Like man running with torch. If man running with torch, 24-hour sun in Antarctica. 24-hour sun in Antarctica must have been a man with a torch. I can put anything I like in there, but it's just so obvious if you understand it. If you don't, you go, this could be a problem for flat earthers, like Jaren's done. You know, if you're stupid, it will be a problem because you don't recognise how the fallacy works. It's just that easy. If you don't understand it, you're going to fall victim to it. And then after you fall victim to it, if the presumed consequent is affirmed, you can then just change it. You can change the peace statement, Jaren. Once you fall victim to this, interesting. Strokes goatee. Yeah? You can then say, I've just decided after we came and went and saw the 24-hour sun, that the real cause isn't the antipodal assumption I went along with when I fell victim to this fallacy. It's actually a caustic coffee cup sun. Coffee cup sun, then 24-hour Antarctic sun. Yeah, you can just change it, can't you, Jaron, like you did with Netflix. That's what you do if you're an idiot. Us, we already see the jape. The people we're telling it don't want to hear it. They want to press on. Because it's been sold to them by charlatans as proving something.
Yeah.
And they want to believe that it's going to prove something. And if it affirms the consequent, they'll come and tell us how it's proved something. When we laugh at them and tell them how we've been telling you before you even went that you're just assuming antipodal positioning, they'll, like I say, they'll rumpus us for 4 years until it finally sinks in how stupid it was. And 4 years down the line, they won't have to feel so stupid. That's all this is. A battle of wits for who can feel less stupid when they've been duped.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, Kiwi, do you want to say something?
No, go ahead, Brian. No, you're good.
Thank you. No, I think it's a win. No, it's a win for FED either way. If they don't see a 24-hour sun, they're in serious bother, right, in Antarctica in the summer. If they do see a 24-hour sun, all the flat believers, all the people who aren't the real deal will all suddenly go away, right? And then you'll know who are real. You'll know who aren't fooled by the nonsense, who aren't fooled by the illogical claim to proof, who aren't fooled by all that. And it's a win for us either way. There's no losing here for us. And they can't understand this. And neither can a lot of flat earthers, especially like Jaron. Well, he's not a flat earther. But, you know, there's a lot of people out there who are like, you know, if I did see a 24-hour sun from Antarctica, I can't explain that on a flat earth. You know, it's like, you don't have to explain anything. Do you know what I mean? Nobody knows what any of them things are. You know what I mean? Those things are, you're not up there. You can't get to wherever they are. They're literally none of your business. Yeah. So whatever is going on up there doesn't prove anything down here or disprove anything down here. You know, unless someone is claiming they're on a globe, then not seeing a 24-hour sun in Antarctica during the Antarctic summer. that is a bit tricky.
That was the most worthy point to punctuate this for those who don't understand the fallacy. If you want to assume that this fallacy is going to yield any results, then what is the only result that can be confirmed or debunked? It's the antipodal positioning that they're assuming. So in other words, when they assume antipodal positioning, if they don't see it, it'll be turned into a modus tollens. It's to say, you must presuppose that you will observe this 24-hour sun if you have the assumption that Earth is a sphere and you travel antipodal. If you do not, then you haven't travelled antipodal. I don't care either way. You know, like I say, it's inconsequential to me that at best they can affirm the consequent. At worst, they'll debunk their entire model.
What model?
Model they believe they have.
Yeah, there isn't one. That's even dumber. You figured that they'd get the hint after all these years of people asking what model. Now people aren't even asking them. They've successfully Jedi mind tricked 99% of idiot flat earthers, and now the flat earthers are giving them their model. Yeah, your model. Yeah, that's it. Even people on this panel.
Yeah, me and Adam did it in that, and then he had to do the same as me. Well, the fairy tale that they say they've got when they have, we had the disclaimers after the fact when we just happened to say model.
Yeah,
I get it. It gets your hackles up, and it should. This is back to for the audience. We're back to that fine line. You know, just saying the word model in context with a globe believer as your opponent is giving them something they shouldn't have. You might go, you're being a bit fussy, aren't you? They mean the globe model where it's, you know, a sphere-shaped Earth with the map on it in a heliocentric world spinning around the Great Attractor and around the Milky Way and all the rest of the motions. Okay, go at us. Oh, well, I can't show you that. You know, I've got the maths for it. Well, then you haven't got a model. About. There is no model.
Yeah. You got Adam caveating himself now after he did it yesterday. He said, yeah, with their model. I don't want to hear it, Kiwi. And then kept on going. Yeah, too funny.
It's very frustrating to maintain your own consistency and standards sometimes.
It is. Because they successfully Jedi mind tricked your dumbass.
And as the other end of the extreme, he's getting into the technicalities, which absolutely, without question, requires you go into their paradigm and beg the question within their paradigm to undo it from within. Now, when Brian's doing that, I'll go the other end. Oh, we need to bring this back to our Earth's measured flat. So I'll hear something in his, look, I'm in the paradigm, right? He's going through it, he's unpacking it beautifully. Not necessarily concisely. Nevertheless, he's doing it. And I'll hear something that I can take straight to a flat Earth, and I will. He'll get annoyed, and I'm sitting here thinking, why is he getting annoyed with this? And it's like, well, because he's trying to unpack something that's far more complex and requires you stay in the paradigm till he gets to his crescendo that he spent a long time researching. Every single time you hear the flat plane mentioned, you don't have to highlight that it requires a flat Earth to use that. He's already begging the question and in the paradigm, but he's going to go somewhere in that paradigm to undo it from within. Now, me wanting the audience to know a flat plane's being used at any opportunity takes it too far over the other line, which is to say you don't have to constantly bring it back to it being a flat plane for every necessity that they have. There's loads of them. You'll be there all day.
Oh my God! Yeah, no, you did it to me Tuesday. It's when I went and got your own bloody show. I'm in the middle of leading someone. You went, aha! I smell a flat plane.
Yeah,
in your steam.
Can't help it. Okay, I've done it to you too. What do you want? Okay, I'm sorry.
A letter and a badge. Maybe a little mug.
Highest tolerance FED panel member.
I'm sitting back here listening to Adam go at it with this guy on our last show. I'm just sitting back here waiting because I see Nathan. So I pulled this Discord up and I said, okay, come on, a little bit more from that guy until he mentions one trigger word. And as soon as he did, I looked over at Nathan and immediately come off mute. And I went on mute and started laughing. I knew right where this was going to go. And Adam wouldn't have any of it. Hey, This isn't your show.
Didn't say that. He said you've got your own show.
Yeah. See, that's
Just
why they
let
come.
the sod.
That's why they
15
come over
minutes.
here, Nathan, because they don't get a chance to get into it over there, because you monopolize, right? Not that it's a bad thing, but you monopolize it. They don't get a chance to speak, and then they come over here to get their 10,000 words out. You know, all the rest of it, Adam, Brian, and all the other guys. You know what's happening. So thank you.
Flatsy.
What? Flatsy? I never even hear her over there.
It wasn't meant to be an attack. It was. I thought it was funny. Hence why I responded like that. You've got your own bloody show.
You were waiting for him to do it. Adam.
I was mildly frustrated because the point that I'd led him to didn't quite get made until later on. But I understand why he jumped in. And then dominated for the next.
You damn sure you waited for him to do it.
Nathan's over dominance ruined Adam's point. It spoiled his happy ending. Whatever you want to say.
No. However you smash the ball, it's fun.
Adam's just so nice, isn't he? Go on, Brian.
What's frustrating for me, and I could say possibly for Adam as well.
Nobody asked, Brian. Someone else.
Yeah. Is that we know that. We knew that already. We've known it for years. And now you're screaming it at us, or in the middle of one of us talking to some baller or something. And it's like, we're fully aware of that. Do you know what I mean? It's like, but you want to come straight in and sometimes actually I think sometimes you're actually, what was I going to say? Yeah, you miss it actually. Sometimes, there you go. I said something earlier on about the pitch data, right? You didn't hear any of it. You didn't listen to any of it, right? And it's like, that is the very thing that you are latching onto. Measured, as you call it, measured flat, right? And I literally put out information there earlier. You didn't listen to it at all, and it's like, it's not. That's the thing. I just say it's for me. It boggles my mind. You've been told about it.
No, that's fine. Let me give you some.
Yeah, but he already admitted to sea level.
Just give him some relief. You get to be the guru, right? You get to be the guy that has told me about this. Let's take the pitch data, for instance, right? When I'm interrupting you because I've got that you need a flat plane from it now, which is your current point, you can be rolling your eyes. I mean, bloody hell. I remember a time when he didn't want to even hear this. He wasn't even listening when I was going through it and demonstrating how a flat plane was needed for this argument 2 years ago. He couldn't even bloody listen. When I asked him to repeat it, he couldn't. Now here he is interrupting me with it. You get to be the guru. So you're saying, well...
you get to be the guru here on this one. The bloke that couldn't get the pitch data, so went and gathered his own 7 years ago, knowing how important it was.
You too. I was talking to you. I was talking to all of you. Maybe not.
But nobody until now gets the point of what I did. 7 years. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, you get to be the guru, and you've just done it. You were like, I don't mind if you get to do the kill. What you're saying is, I taught you how to swing this sword. Fine, lob his head off. Roll your eyes. In other words, yeah, okay, I get it. It's frustrating. I'm glad to hear it, because I didn't know that was the sentiment until 20 seconds ago. But you know what I mean. You've got to hear this stuff.
I think
how irritating it is.
Sentiments are slightly different, and might need to differentiate.
Wasn't really listening to you, Adrian. Go ahead.
What I said earlier, I'm going to say it again, because now you probably will listen, is that what I have going on at present is a load of ballers telling me, and one of them is a commercial pilot, right, he said he put his own stamp on it. He said it, right, here it is, I'm putting my stamp on it. You will not have any with the pitch data. You will not see any pitch below horizontal at cruising altitude. The boilers are literally saying that to me. Not just one or two, loads of them. You're not going to see any pitch below horizontal, Brian. This is what they're saying to me. This is their argument.
Oh, it's the Bull-Jitsu response. If I give you the devastating defeat in rebuttal, it almost seems like the devastating defeat put back to you is a rebuttal. So their rebuttal, you're not going to find any Earth curve in this pitch data. You shouldn't even look at it. It won't even prove anything. You won't find any Earth curve in there. You wouldn't expect to see Earth curve in it. Okay, that sounds devastating.
I'm being told that you're stupid if you think you're going to see any pitch below horizontal at cruising altitude. It's like, I'm not expecting to see it. I know I'm not going there. It's flat. Do you know what I mean?
This is epic. I like this. It's all grow.
There you go. Yeah.
But your instincts were guiding you when you're like, no, people do, because you've said it before, but not with the same sort of gusto. You certainly haven't tried to latch on to something else to gain it momentum. In this case, even though you came under heavy criticism from both me and Adam in terms of how you approached it, got to admire your tenacity. You knew this needed more attention, and you didn't care by what means. I'm not saying you were careless, but I'm just saying you saw this needed to grow and how important it was. You're laughing about it now, but this could have faded into obscurity for the fact that you had the tenacity to say, no, this needs attention. Good on you.
It needs a lot more attention.
If only somebody had done it 7 years ago, so we all knew about this. What were you saying earlier, Adam?
Adam did do it 7 years ago. He did an epic job of it. But that's why I'm looking for the official pitch data.
Did he really?
Because everyone...
You've never mentioned this, Adam.
I'm very modest, me.
I do remember you doing it.
Yeah. Same time as Paul on the plane, switching his accelerator on and off either side of a flight. That was part of the initial conception. Me and Paul on the plane and John Savage back then were discussing what to do with because there was loads of accelerometer chat then. And that was my input, was to just gather the data all the way and plot the vector changes, demonstrate what the flight did. Even when I set off to do it, I'm thinking, well, I'm going to have some work to do. There wasn't any work to do after watching it.
Even back then, can you remember there was another flat earther who did something not the same, far more crude, got a bazillion views doing it? Marble. Yeah. What did he do? Did he plot accurate pitch data based on the accelerometer reading at various points throughout a very long flight? No. What did he do? He went on a plane with a spirit level, 100,000 views.
But the reality there, you see, was it didn't matter because there was no angling down. Okay, therefore there's nothing to mitigate for in terms of realignment. Therefore, there's no calculations to be done. So whether I used my accelerometers measuring the constant upward pitch angle, or whether you used just the spirit level to demonstrate that there was only ever a constant upward pitch angle, it actually is just as effective.
Yeah, technically it was so simple that it was easy. So it was so simple and easy for people to totally understand what was happening. They didn't need to read data or anything else didn't need to have enough intellect to read data or have enough knowing to read data. They just go, see it and see what. So it, thing about it is, even though it was far more crude, it was ingenious in its way, in fairness to him. And it was just as valid. I'm sure Adam would agree. It is what it is. It shows the same thing. Maybe not in as much detail, but it shows it. There it is.
What it demonstrates is the thing. Well, what it fails to demonstrate is the thing that would enable you to maybe have to consider you're dealing with a curving Earth is never encountered on the flight. That's why I say all the more accurate pitch data is still irrelevant Because there's nothing to calculate, because there's no, at no point does the airplane try to realign to an ever-changing redirection of down. That's the point of pitch data, to realign to the center of the ball as you traverse over the surface.
Just about to say that. You remember their response back then? Oh, it's gravity realigning you.
Yep.
You don't have to make any correction. What's
Yep.
their response back then?
Yeah, still stupid to this day. They still do it.
But that's the purpose of the pitch data. Get me?
It happens automatically.
That's why if we add it, if we add it in a valid way, which is what Brian's after, game, set, and match, we've got objective reality, the knowledge of how accelerometers, our spirit levels work, and the knowledge of how flight works, and the knowledge of what a plane in straight and level flight would have to do as it navigated over a curving surface with the realignment of the center of that ball changing every meter it traveled, and what that would impose with regards to aeronautical flight. That's not there. What we haven't got is what Brian's after, the coup de grace.
Yeah, what kills any claim from them is the lift effect. Because even with their claim of it realigns itself by gravity rubbish, right? It can't do that, because as soon as it breaks that horizontal, that it had to be above the pitch, that it had to be pitched above, right, to generate adequate lift. Like, as soon as it does, that pitch goes below that line, that straight line that it was pitched above, it's losing lift. That's just the reality of it. And lift is, it's like not having wheels on your car. You can't drive. You can't fly without lift. It's over. So the lift effect destroys that nonsense because that they try and come up with. But if we had the official pitch data, what that would do, this is going to sound really stupid, but it's actually true. It would validate the thing that needs no validation, which is the lift effect. If you understand what I mean, it would completely validate the lift effect, the thing that doesn't need any validation, because it can't. You know what I mean? It can only happen one way. There is no different lift effect. There is no non-standard version. If you know what I mean? That doesn't exist. There's only one version.
Very well done.
Brilliant,
I was thinking out loud on this, and I've been hearing some people say that it's impossible to get that data off the commercial airliners. Have you tried private companies?
I'm trying different people. I was talking to a guy yesterday who's a flat earther, and he works for Airbus. The thing about it is that there's two ways to get it. You can get it from the black box, or you can get it from the INS, the Inertial Navigation System. Right. Because that has to record what's going on. It records what's going on. Now, the black box I would prefer, but the Inertial Navigation System is just as valid, simply because if they lose all GPS, all navigation, all radar, that will literally fly them to where they need to go. You know what I mean? When they'll only have to land the plane. Right. That will take over. The autopilot will use that, and that'll be it.
Yeah.
So,
another point, it just hit me. Why don't they call it the non-inertial navigation system? Since the ballers say that the fairy tale atmosphere spins with the Earth, why is it the inertial navigation system?
Well, they call it the inertial navigation system because the gyros create an inertial frame of reference for the accelerometers. The accelerometer require an inertial frame of reference.
Inertial frame of reference? Where's the plane at?
The inertial frame of reference, according to them.
I just thought of that. It just hit me when you said it. But yeah, you might, like I said, you might want to look into some commercial companies. I'm sorry, not commercial companies, but private ones.
Private companies, but aside from that, no,
Why not?
Don't let Coriolis. No, not that. Separate point. Don't let Coriolis anywhere near this, Brian. If you do, I'll disown you.
Coriolis? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
just don't let
You mean,
correlates
how did
anywhere near this.
Brian get the rap for that?
Yeah, that was my rap.
He doesn't. QE does. I'll be having words with him afterwards. For Brian's benefit, yeah, talking about inertial frames of reference. No, just don't. It doesn't need that anywhere near this.
No, I won't be doing that. Don't worry.
That wasn't
only
my
want
point.
one thing. That's
That wasn't my point any
Yeah.
damn way. But yeah. Oh, okay. So, do we want to get into what the show is today, or you're going to have me get accused of false advertising?
No, I'm happy with
I'm-
getting into what we're going to do. So.
I thought we were done. Are we running out?
No, we haven't started.
What? No, get into the video. I'm totally into the video.
I'm not ready
Yeah.
for that yet.
He's not ready yet. Okay.
Yeah.
I got a
So,
Jesus
video.
agenda.
Yeah, it's a video. Don't you even do it.
I'm gonna, so just accept it.
I'll mute you.
He won't mute me once you're here. There will not be a point where you think, oh, I'm going to mute here.
Okay.
Earlier on, we were talking about stuff we say in after shows and stuff, and maybe Nathan did record it and that. I know Flatsy was there, maybe Brian, you were QA. It was one of mine, maybe what could be described as one of my drunken rants, where I pointed out that Jesus is the only, or Christianity is the only religion, more fundamentally, Jesus is the one that they'll take the piss out and will openly do so. I just want to highlight the filth that was the French. See, French, yeah. A little bit of prejudice. I don't care. See how the French did it, yeah? Took the piss out of Jesus last night, yeah? Absolutely disgusting. And
what happened?
Mentioned in the comment.
Okay, sorry.
So,
I didn't notice it. I'm sorry. I didn't notice. What did the French do last night? It was something to do with the Olympics.
Maybe you could just quickly Google it and then you could pull a picture up. As I didn't watch the opening ceremony. I woke up to the aftermath.
But directly to Jesus? What?
So
I heard something else. Hold on.
So you
Hold on.
You will. Okay.
I heard something else. My wife told me something else late last night. I've forgotten about it. That she said was really disgusting. Is that the thing you're talking about?
Yeah, it's beyond. I would ask you what Muslims would do if it was the Prophet Muhammad portrayed like this. But we have got on part of the opening ceremony all these transgender drag queen people coming together with a big fat man-woman type figure in the middle, portraying Christ, representing, I think it's Leonardo's Last Supper. Whole representations, even the poses are there.
I love them. Just loves them. Big difference.
Sorry? Sorry, Neil, you started in the middle of my sentence, so I missed it. Carry on.
Just loves them.
Oh my God. Just stop.
Someone
Stop.
Someone got a pillar over Neil's face.
Yeah, just Neil, go on mute. Your mic is a train wreck. So, what do you want me to Google? I'm sorry, I didn't watch it. I was doing something else. What should I type in, Adam?
Type in Paris 2024 opening ceremony. Jesus. That would probably do it.
Sure.
You asked what the Muslims would do, but in all sincerity, what are the Christians going to do? Forgive them?
I think that's the most Christian thing to do.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes.
Let me pull up images. I guess everyone's seen this but me.
I haven't.
Oh, I haven't seen it. And if I do end up seeing it, it'll be Adam's fault.
And you need to see it. This is how abhorrent society is. When I said, who are the attack? Who's over the target? Who's worth bombing? They're not attacking Buddha. Just recognise it as a positive. Me, confirmation of what you know. Yeah? Look at what they're doing. Look at how they can get away with it. Look at why are they even trying to do it.
What the hell is this? This thing? It should be coming at you here in a moment. This the one?
You sharing it in Discord or just
No, I'm
on
sharing
YouTube?
it on live stream, not in Discord.
Yes, that one. Yeah. Look at it.
You want to describe what's going on here? Or just leave silence.
You've got people, okay, gathered in a copy of the Last Supper. Same representations. They look at, you know what I mean? They're not gathered together for a photo shoot, are they? They're laid out. And there's other pictures, if you look, where they'll compare that Last Supper image. I think it's vile. I genuinely, I don't understand why you would do that, other than reasons I've outlined in the past. It's certainly not artistic. It's not ironic. It's not funny.
It's purely a troll on the Christians of the staunch kind of Christians of the US and the United States and that. It's what it is. Well, of everywhere. It's just a big. See, who are our biggest opponents online? Who are going to be the biggest opponents of anything transgender or anything else? It's going to be the Christians. You know what I mean? They're going to be opposing it online, probably more than the Muslims, more than anyone. Do you know what I mean? Because in Muslim countries, there's probably a lot less of that than there is in Christian countries, if you understand what I mean. Like, I consider America diverse and all it is as a Christian country. But yet there's anything transgender is like rampant in America. You know, in the media. I'm not saying everywhere on the street, but in the media. And who are going to be opposing that community the most online and in the world will be the Christians. That's who's going to be opposing them, and that is who has opposed them in the media and online, the strongest. So this is like trying to make a mockery out of the people who are opposing them the most. I don't even think it has anything to do with Jesus, to be honest with you. I haven't seen it, but I don't have to.
I think it's got everything to do with Jesus. Everything.
Yep. This is pretty bad what I'm looking at. I'm not going to post this stuff on the channel. Yeah, I see it now.
No, it was worthy of merit. Certainly, if you've not heard it, it's worthy of mention. There appears to be a few in chat. Yeah. No, you're winning when you're like this. No, you're winning. Look at it. Look how desperate they've had to get. Look how graphic they've had to get. Who are they attacking?
This is the last day stuff, man. May not be in scripture. Man. It may not be in scripture that way, but that it screams this to me. Yeah, this is horrific.
Right. I don't think anyone's winning there, Adam, in that kind of a situation. There's no winning there. Like, that's just like,
that's terrible.
I don't think most of them people have any concept of what they're even doing. I think they just think this is like, how many of these people even have any belief in an afterlife or anything else? Do you know what I mean? How many of these people are screwed up in the head and, you know, they're not thinking like normal people, like, you know what I mean? They're not normal people. You know, they're not, that's it. That's the problem, you see.
Well, thanks for that, Adam.
You didn't mute me though, did you?
No, I didn't.
No. Right, carry on. There's more trivial thing.
Right into Professor Parks now. That was a good transition there, Adam. Thanks.
I was going to add.
Go ahead, Flatsy.
Yeah, that Jesus even said to, they persecuted him like they'll persecute you. And then I think in Paul's letters, he says to rejoice when they do, because that means that you're the same thing that Adam said.
Amen, Flatsy. Well, you got it. You got it. It's as sickening it is for your heart to see it. Recognize it for what it is.
Oh, I don't know why you're not ignoring it. A lot of idiots put on some horrible display. No. I don't want to see that. I'm glad I didn't see it.
That's not a load of idiots. That's all the banking clans to use the Star Wars analogy, yeah, coming together in their global production to tell you where they're at.
Yep.
And what do they do?
Yep.
What do they do? What is their production this filth puts on? All they've got left is all they've got left is ad hom attack. And that's what this is. Yeah. What they're left with.
Why are you wasting your time? Why are you wasting your time looking at that nonsense?
I look at the bigger
why
picture.
would you spend your time doing that?
You wait till next week when Candice is talking about it, and you'll get all used to it.
That's a different thing.
It's me bringing it up.
That's different. That's different.
But she's not. I know.
You're searching out this stuff to look at. Do you know what I mean? Just these people. Well, and you said no, they're not idiots. They are idiots. They're total idiots. There's no other way to describe them.
It's just a sign. Listen, just go for what it is.
No,
it's just
let me just rebut this, please.
There's nothing to rebut.
What I've just showed will fill the media for the next week. I promise you. And this, all of it. Joe Rogan. Everybody's going to be talking about this, mate. It's that abhorrent.
We all will rejoice when Candice covers it. So, yeah.
My word. It's the State of the Union, man. That's what it is. It's right out there. It's purposeful. They know what they're doing. Oh, boy. Oh.
Yeah, they're attracting people like Adam. That's what they're doing.
Just keep my eye on other things outside of our insular little flat earth world as well. And they're things of great interest, great significance. I didn't tell you about the qualifying for the hockey this afternoon, did I? Oh.
Can you imagine kneeling in front of the Creator and have to give account for that? Oh, boy. Can you make sure I'm 35,000 light years away just before that happens, please? I mean, I know I'm going to have to give account, but oh, boy.
I want front row seats for that one, mate.
What's that?
I said I want front row seats for that. Neil, off you go.
You're giving a different account.
Oh, my God. Neil, go on mute.
It's so freaking bad.
Yeah.
That's it. I quit.
It's bad. Real bad.
Did you just invoke light years?
I did. I used it for emphasis.
Shame on you.
I used it for. I used it as
you
a
can do
metaphor.
that.
I used it for a metaphor for emphasis. I understand. I got it. I was the first one to come out and expose that nonsense. So you think I got it?
Yes. I love to. I like to haggle you.
Yeah.
It's fun.
You're not the only one. Get in line.
If I'm gonna get called up for model, right, Flatsy, you savaging.
You said that.
Here.
Well, that's just
Flatsy's
because.
pulling a Nathan on you. Sorry.
Yeah, I got a Flatsy agenda. Nathan's got a Nathan agenda. All he wants to talk about is how Earth is measured flat. And then Brian and Adam have their own Brian agenda, Adam agenda.
Brian Adams agenda.
Mine was a Jesus agenda tonight.
All right. Do we want to get into this?
No?
Yeah, we'll have a bit of fun.
Not in the slightest.
If we leave Adam off, he's going to come up with some other horrible rubbish for us to see. Because he searches out this stuff.
He has it in the background, just waiting for some empty air time, and he's going to shock everyone. All right.
To be honest, the whole of the show, the spirit's been hovering over me saying, interject with this.
Really? What spirit is that?
Let me. It said Cote de Rhone, I think. Let me have a look.
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah, Cote de Rhone.
The spirit of Italy.
Of a flagon.
That's French. Cote de Rhone.
All right, you know the routine. Go ahead and jump in here. We're going to do a 5-second radio check, and then we'll roll for a little bit. because we're already almost 2 hours into the show.
Not from 6 minutes. No.
Yes. So here we go.
So without further ado, Professor Robert, how's it going?
Radio check. Was that successful? And I got to turn that down.
That was really loud, but yeah.
You turn that down on my end so it doesn't blow my eardrums out again. All right. Maybe an introduction. This is in the field from Boy Zero to Sky Grifter. This is Professor Robert Parks. He is a PhD in astronomy and a professor at Viola, wherever the hell that is. If he looks familiar, he should, because I did like an 18-hour treatment on him. It was a year or so, maybe a year and a half ago. If you go into the treatments, you'll see his shining, happy face, but that's who he is. So we're going to try not to focus on this crayon muncher, right? I know it's hard. We're going to try to put our focus on what Professor Robert Parks has to say. I know there's going to be a lot of stupidness coming from this direction right here. We're just going to have to put up with it. All right, are we ready? Nathan, are you here?
Yeah, of course I am.
We got 1.25. Go ahead.
The strong rules of engagement. Are you saying, doesn't matter how stupid a thing which it says, we don't deal with that, we focus on Science Boy?
I did not say that. I said we're going to focus more on Parks rather than Idiot Boy here. Okay? But he's going to say some stupid stuff, so it's going to be impossible not to deal with it. But, all right? We got it at 1.25 speed. We're going to kick it up a little bit. Any objections? We're going to start.
Yeah, I have. Just a second. Not an objection, just a question. Did you say Viola? B-I-O-L-A or Viola?
He's going to say it. So...
Because that's where Matthew Learns claimed to work.
Yeah,
if it's the same place.
I don't know. He's going to say it, so let's review it when he says it here. It's going to come out pretty quick. All right, here we go.
Introduce himself. So without further ado, Professor Robert, how's it going?
All right. Thank you for having me on, and I'm honored for.
Are you a widget? Because it says right on the screen. It says, if you guys here, let me make it bigger. It says, error, widget doesn't exist. So, I don't know. You an error widget? I know it's low-hanging fruit, but it's there. What do you want me to do?
Wow. I don't know.
All right, here we go.
To be your first guest. You can call me Rob. That's generally what I go by. Robert is actually my middle name.
You can call him Rob, but Rob is his middle name. Sorry about this, folks. You see, Boy Zero Sky Grifter got his mic on 10,000, but his guest is on minus 200. So that's not me.
But just to introduce myself properly, I'm Dr. Rob Parks. I'm the Deputy Director of the George Mason Observatory and its public outreach lead. My PhD is in astronomy, and my expertise is in stellar magnetism and young stellar objects, or protostars, if you'd like. But I've dabbled in other things.
Okay, nice. So you, I know you said you're a professor and you've taught a few different places. So like, what do you teach? What have you taught?
What have I taught? So I have taught anything from physics recitation, which means one-on-one.
Why are you teaching physics as an astronomer? That's its category error. So you're already exposed.
With students, getting them
curious,
through algebra-based.
Say again?
He said stellar magnetism, so I've had to look it up. You know what it is?
Stellar magnetism.
You probably will. So anyway. Stellar magnetic field is a field generated by the motion of conductive plasma inside a star. What he studies.
Huh. That's interesting. Well, that lines up with Magneto Boy over here, but he hasn't caught on to it yet. Let's see what happens.
Lines up with Simon Dan.
Introductory physics. I've taught introductory physics labs, introductory physics or astronomy labs, advanced astronomy.
Don't know why.
astronomy labs, advanced physics labs, and then
Go
ahead.
Yeah, every single bit of that, if it's what I think it is, well, it is. Every bit of it is debunked. Every single bit of it is debunked when you go back to the origins, the history of when they started saying the sun was a star and what it was composed of. If you look into that, it is such an unbelievable joke.
Yes, we already covered it.
Some guy claimed to have seen yellow helium plasma on the face of the sun. I won't even go into all the details. It's unbelievable joke.
Yeah, didn't we deal with that with spectrochocoloscopy?
Yes, but not that particular.
Oh, not that part. Okay.
Yeah.
lectures, I teach introductory astronomy, either in a one semester course or split up between two. I've also taught, the other major one that I've taught is Introduction to Cosmology, which is a undergraduate qualitative analysis of or description.
It's an undergraduate qualitative cosmology, which is a demonstrated pseudoscience. That's what he's teaching here, folks.
Of cosmology. There's a little bit of math, but it's primarily just a, like I said, qualitative description.
Okay, cool. So we have had a couple brief conversations before, so we're not entirely new to each other.
So I thought he said Viola, but I guess he didn't. Maybe that was before. I don't know. I did hear George Mason. So there you go. Who really cares?
So basically your focus is astronomy, primarily.
Did you get that much out of what he said? Yeah, his PhD is in astronomy. Are you going to challenge him, his science acumen now? I mean, you sat for 3 years watching me deconstruct baller after baller about astronomy, cosmology, and astrophysics, step by step. And what are you going to do? Let's see what you're going to do.
Yes.
Right. Okay, cool. So let's see. How should we start the convo?
How about, do you know what natural science is? How about, in that vein? How about that? Oh, boy.
I guess obviously you know that here on this channel we are quite skeptical of claims about.
Hold on, Adam. My mouse is. I'll tell you what. I'm gonna take a friggin' sledgehammer to this thing. Go ahead, Adam.
I don't want to Jay, but he said something earlier that was just musing through my head, so I've ignored what he said since. He said, I present a class on what was it? Qualitative.
That's too many T's. Qualitative.
Qualitative. I didn't know.
Shout out to chocolate.
What does that mean? Does that mean star or not a star?
I don't know. You'd have to ask him. But he's an error widget. You're probably not going to get much out of him, and he doesn't exist.
What does therefore then quantitative study of stars mean? Big star, little star?
You're going to have to ask him.
This really doesn't get started for another 5 minutes, so let's just rein it in just till we get to anything.
Nathan,
We'll never get to anything juicy.
What are you like, Debbie Downer?
Yeah.
Yeah, whose show is this anyway? Just leave it alone, man.
I thought he was washing up and putting the kids to bed when we went through this last night. His first 10 minutes, which I didn't want to go through as well.
I love how my position's been demeaned so much over the years. Originally, this was my show with QE. Now I'm the co-host, and now it's whose show is this? Oh, right, okay. I'll just shut up, shall I, Brian?
This time next year, you'll be T-Bully.
Too funny.
Being made obsolete. Go ahead.
About space.
Yep.
I will say it this way. I certainly don't think your job is just a big cabal of people lying or anything.
Lying. There's not a K in lying. There's just a G at the end, number one. Why would you introduce... What does that have to do with anything? Look at him smiling like a jerk. What? How about test his science acumen? I know why, because you don't know what natural science is. After listening 3 years, I mean, countless times. I mean, an idiot monkey can regurgitate after that long. But nope, we can't have any of that. You got to get close to him, right? buddy, clown.
Anything like that, you know, I definitely don't think that. I just think that a lot of people have some ingrained presuppositions about the sky. So that's kind of where I'm at. So I think we may not disagree as much as some people may think, but we are certainly not going to agree on.
You're not going to disagree and agree. Okay, so we're totally in a category here. Sorry, folks. He just keeps on opening up his blowhole and stupid shit comes out. I got to deal with it. Why are you interested in what you agree or disagree with? That's subjectivity. The nature of our reality is purely 100% objective. You're in a complete category here. Who the fuck are you, Ann Landers? My God, are you stupid? What the hell are you even doing here?
Who's Ann Landers?
It's pissing me off already. I can't.
I'm just confused now. Right.
Who's
So
Ann
at the
Landers?
beginning, we were going to show tolerance to Wixit. Mild category, you've just seen your arse. What's going off?
I'm sorry. It just pisses me off.
a lot of
Got
things.
no guidelines here, QA.
Let's see.
Shut up.
How about this? If you want to, I'm just going to give you the floor to kind of explain why you feel that that astronomy, as it is in modern times understood, is legit. Does that make sense? Like, just kind of explain what it is so convincing for you that you guys have a proper understanding of the sky.
I'll let it go.
Okay. Yeah, and actually, that was one of the things I wanted to ask you about was whether or not there was a large cabal, influencing things or controlling things. Because I know from the flat Earth side, there's a lot of emphasis on NASA.
Why are you?
And to be
Stop!
perfectly honest,
Mouse, you son of a bitch. You're gonna get the friggin' hammer.
Whoa. Easy.
No swearing.
He's shouting at the computer, isn't he?
No, at the mouse.
That's what I meant. You want to get them wired ones?
Shut up.
I want to just pay a bit of credit there. Twice he said it, and he's not bitten, the professor. The sky, the way Wixit keeps saying it. Kudos to him there. That's all that's been looked at, the sky.
Yeah, well,
Maybe
shit.
the professor's picked up on it, but I just thought nice vernacular.
Oh, it's lovely. Why is he talking about a cabal when, as an astronomer, as a scientist in your mind, shouldn't the first thing that comes out of your mouth is the ultimate proof of the sphere tard? That's what I would suspect. That's what I would do. But nope, we're into fairy tale cabals in Narnia. So, no, this doesn't fly with me. Friggin' air widget.
NASA helps facilitate astronomy in terms of actual astronomical research. That's not really exactly
Why are you
NASA's
doing this?
focus. Astronomy.
Why are you doing this, Adam?
What, responding to your point? I shall stop.
Now I got to pull a whole damn you wait till I start this thing, and then, you come. Just say stop really quick.
I'm going to use the phrase
to be
halt.
Perfectly honest,
Fine.
while NASA helps facilitate astronomy in terms of actual astronomical research, that's not really exactly NASA's focus. Astronomy has been around forever.
What did it first start out as? Brian, what did astronomy start out as? I caught him. He's trying to get back to...
Astrology.
That's right.
Started as astrology.
Yeah.
You learned it through astrology. Yeah.
Has it changed?
Yeah, and they're separate things. One is called science, and the other is called pseudoscience. When none of them are science.
Ah.
And so, what leads me to believe that it's true, or that it's the best description so far?
What leads you to believe astronomy is true? That's non sequitur. What? Huh? I don't. It's so ambiguous and stupid.
Let me rephrase it. What leads you to the belief that geography is true?
Oh. Yep.
So far is just the sheer amount of work that's been done. I've gone through, obviously.
We don't train to the amount of work has been done or time. We train to standard, the amount of work. What work? Work for what? Astronomy? Again, this is non sequitur.
I've gone through classes. I've done homework.
So, folks, he's done classes and homework for you. That's what leads him to believe astronomy is true, because he has done homework. What he's told you.
I've been tested. I have done research on my own. All of that seems to be self-consistent with with what what we put out there.
Self-consistent with what they put out there. It's got to be all true since he's done homework.
What I wanted to say there was it's all lining up with the heliocentric model. He's repositioned it to it's all lining up with what we put out there, because he was hesitant to say.
I hate to use the term mainstream science, but what?
Mainstream science. Yeah, a lot of you guys do that. We're going to need the address, email, or phone number. I have some pretty direct comments I would like to pass along. If you can get us that information. It's not. It's just something that they conjure in their idiot heads that doesn't exist. He wouldn't know what science was if it climbed up his arse and started kicking footballs wrapped in boot jalokia lace concertina wire. So he's portraying himself as Mr. Science here. My cat's litter box knows more natural science than he does. Why ain't you on this, by the way? Boy Zero? Yeah.
He can't anymore. He can't do that anymore because he's gone so far against you and pushing so much stuff that doesn't have scientific validity, but continues to push it under the guise that it might have, that now he can't critique the borders for not having scientific evidence. He can't do that anymore. He's stuck being a rock and a hard place.
It's stressful. That'll cause a lot of cognitive dissonance, and his rhetoric doesn't line up with what he understands and appreciates when he learnt it from QE. Well, that'll be the death of you, won't it?
What mainstream science tells us, I found to be consistent.
Everything's consistent. Mainstream science doesn't only exist. It's a single entity that says stuff. You need to be institutionalized. You reifying moron? My word. This is a grown adult, folks, with a PhD.
I've worked with a lot of colleagues. I know just the American
Adam, have you worked with a lot of colleagues?
I've worked with a lot of American ass.
Of the company, but
said I've worked with a lot of American ass.
Astronomical Society, its membership is around 10,000 people. So it just
means you got a lot of people that are dumb. No cowbell whatsoever here. Nothing. Just the numbers, just ambiguous, nonsensical, homework, horseshit. Nothing. Zero.
Yeah, what's the story?
It would be very difficult for me to understand if we are in fact.
What is it that you do here? Go ahead. Somebody had to comment back there. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, what is the point of all
I just looked him up, and according to the probability and statistical likelihood of a good quality source for information, The View, CNN, ABC, and BBC said there's a 67% statistical probability that this guy knows what he's talking about.
You just rumpus the guest that had a statement behind you.
I think it was Chubbs.
Yeah, you're all good.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying, they paint these, what does this make the viewer believe that he knows what he's talking about because he's worked with people?
Yes.
They just consistently never show anything, and they just have to paint these narratives like you were talking about earlier, affirming the consequence. Like It's just getting someone to a stage where they'll take it all in. And once you understand that premise of how fallacious it is, it's so easy to spot everywhere.
Yep. You got it. You're all over it. He's putting it on an air. He's actually a pretender clown. And this is an air.
I like when he pause his face. It every time you pause it, it sort of suits him.
Yep. Good call.
Fact, misguided in some way. How is it that all of us are essentially misguided, or most are misguided?
Well, you're all dumbasses. Pretender clowns. Real simple. See what he's trying to portray now in the high numbers? How is everyone misguided? How is that possible? Post a hypothesis and we'll show you. That's how. Clown. Idiot.
Misguided. Because I know there are a few people who hold slightly different concepts or views.
Shut up.
Yeah, so like I said, I think that everyone just has a presupposition, and certainly anyone alive now was born into those presuppositions. Like one of the most glaring ones being the Copernican principle. It's
shocking. It sounds like we're going into geocentricity again. He's a geocentric baltard. That's who he is. Every single time we pull him up, guess what he's talking about right out the gate. Yeah, you got it.
Well, what I will say is that what I've noticed with him in any of the supposed debates, whatever he's had in recent months or whatever, the only flat Earth thing he brings up is the Mount Canada thing. Other than that, I was only thinking yesterday, I think it was, I can't recall any other flat Earth, like geometric thing or flat Earth thing within Anthony's talking about. Only the Mount Canada thing. That comes up once in every debate. And it's like, if he didn't bring that up, there'd be no flat Earth stuff in there at all. Because I don't, like, he might throw out something like a LiDAR or something, offhand, something like, but he doesn't bring detail on anything other than Mount Canada. Go on, Nathan.
Sorry, but Mount Canada, that's not, you're saying it's flat Earth proof. Is that not a we see too far globe debunking?
Yes.
No, Mount Canada. Well, that actually is pretty good. I don't know how to stack it up against something else, but it's basically, the whole purpose of it is it's a natural phenomenon that happens twice a year, every year at the same exact times. And
Ryan, don't defend Mount Canada. The point you were making was that actually, without something like Mount Canada, which may be subjective and maybe could be called ball debunking, without that, there is no mention of flat Earth. And if you look at the agenda, what you'll see is the agenda of true Earth, something that really isn't that bothered whether it's a ball or flat, as long as the construct is some metaphysical fourth dimension for light to manifest in. That's why we're here. That's why he's talking to this guy. That's why he's got an interest with him. And the metaphysics that these both retards live in. They've both got imaginary worlds. He wants to, without arguing, come to a kind of agreement, non-agreement about the metaphysical worlds they both believe in, though are slightly different.
Whoever paints the better picture is going to win the bag. That's basically all this is. I said, whoever paints the better picture here is going to win the bag. It's scamming.
What, the dunce bag? Yeah, this is, yeah, that's what's happening here. You're right.
Debate, you'd be intellectually shamed if you question the idea that we are in motion around the sun, much less that the universe is, huge and we're insignificant, basically. And that is a philosophical bias, in my opinion, right? And so if I look at the sky and I'm like, oh, that's a vacuum, everything's super far away, I'm flying through there at different speeds and different directions, and then you interpret everything from there, I don't think anyone's lying. I just think that they're forcing.
What? You want to run that by me again? This guy thinks there's a universe with a vacuum out there with stars and planets and stuff. Him. Your flat Earth representative. Did I mishear that? Who's drinking on my stream?
It was Brian.
I came off mute. Sorry, I actually came off mute to say something. I said I think he's trying to placate Rob Parks here. He's trying to kind of find common ground. Because what's happening here is a conversation, not a debate situation. It's a conversation. So they're trying to have a conversation where they agree to things that they wouldn't agree to if they were debating, which is kind of pointless. You're better off just having a debate. You know what I mean? It's like, because eventually, so, you know, I don't see that, like, why don't we just have a debate and be done with it?
One second, I'm pulling. I got to go find something that would just end this nonsense. Where did I put it? It's a citation that I got many years ago. And then it got nicked by Hanoi Jaron. He made a name for himself with it. Where did that go? 1 second.
Can I just point out?
Good.
I just point out that Flatsy grasped me out there. Thanks, Flatsy.
I just pay attention, that's all.
Where did I put it? Oh, there she is. Let's just have that in the hopper.
I do it to Neil all the time, Flatsy. Don't worry about it.
All right, here we go.
Yeah.
Their interpretation without even realizing it. So that's how I view this whole thing. I looked into the history of heliocentrism, and specifically towards the beginning of the 20th century, we had some like pretty astounding discoveries in terms of astronomy, and never once did they reconsider heliocentrism. They just moved the goalposts to now we're in a situation where, oh, well, everything looks like we're in the center. That's the current, there is no center, and we're all going to look like we're in the center. And so that's how I view this whole thing. Basically, is a bunch of people they're doing their best to interpret what they see within the paradigm and never really.
To interpret what they see, you mean observe and declare. Does that sound sciencey to you? Boy Zero. That's what we got here. Observe and declare. That's it.
Do they step back to question like the foundation of the paradigm?
What paradigm? It's observe and declare. There is no paradigm. It's an imaginary paradigm. It's from their imagination.
So yeah, I don't put malevolence on it.
Okay.
Oh boy.
So it's interesting that you say the Copernican principle is a supposition or presupposition, or what have you, because we believe that the anthropomorphic principle, which is stating that
we don't care what you believe. Believe is acceptance without evidence. It's non sequitur to this discussion. Believer, whether you believe in something or you don't, it's non sequitur.
Humanity, from a scientific standpoint.
You can't speak to a scientific standpoint because you're not a scientist. This is a textbook appeal to authority fallacy. He is not a subject matter expert on the particular topic discussed. Simple.
Holds a unique or special place in the universe. That is, in fact, the presupposition, because that is essentially what Aristotle held.
Who cares?
And Aristotle was challenged because the idea was that if we are going around if he's wrong and we are going around the sun, then we should see stellar parallax.
What's stellar parallax? Is that what Aristotle said? What the hell is stellar parallax?
It's the thing we don't see.
Say again.
It's the thing we don't see. We don't see parallax with the celestial bodies, and they tell us we don't see it with the star field. They tell us we don't see it because they're so big and far away. So I don't know what's he going on about.
Didn't, and so they had two options. They can either say the stars are very, very far away, and so there's no way that we can detect parallax with our eyes.
How would they know that? We still back in Aristotle's day? How would they know that? So they got two choices. One, this is a false dichotomy already. Don't have to hear the second one.
Yeah.
Idiot. You know what a false dichotomy fallacy is, Mr. Air Widget?
Or the Earth is stationary. They obviously chose the latter. when it came to Copernicus, the problem was you had this observational crisis with
observational crisis. What? Their eyelids got stuck. Did they need eye drops? Observational crisis. Oh boy.
Tycho Brahe's observations of Mars, and Kepler trying to, well, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. You had this observational crisis that the Ptolemaic system was becoming
Ptolemaic. Shout out to Hanoi Jaren.
Extremely bulky, extremely hard to use. And so Copernicus wanted to basically set about trying to simplify it. Because one of the principles behind
what's he simplifying? Did he say anything? What? Jesus.
In the Ptolemaic system was that the planets existed on actual solids.
Begging this question fallacy. You have to demonstrate. Go ahead.
Sorry, he's actually inferring that there was a geocentric globe prior to Kepler. Now, I know that none of these people, including Robert's son Janus, can support any of that. There's a lot of nonsense made up about it and pre-assumed about it. But when it comes down to actually supporting, I won't say the questions now. I'll leave it for the person who wants to try and support it, the PhD, right? They actually are pre-assuming this globe that was pre-assumed to be geocentric prior to Kepler. That's actually what they're at.
What did Ptolemy think?
Yeah, but see, they're going to, when they reference what Ptolemy supposedly thought, they're going to place it on a globe that was just stationary or whatever. I think Ptolemy was promoting a stationary, Ptolemy, what was he doing? What could he have been doing? Looking at the celestial bodies move around him on a flat plane. That's it.
I'd have to go in because I've never went in and reviewed the Ptolemaic system, so I can't speak on it. You're saying that there is not a globetard in the Ptolemaic system?
I'm saying they've added one in because I couldn't even guarantee Ptolemy existed. Do you know what I mean?
I got you.
It's like they just, and even if he did, they just hijacked them and added a globe in, but by coming up with some drawing that supposedly was 10,000 years ago, 10,000 years old. No, this kind of nonsense they do. It's like absolute nonsense. Someone pre-assumes that Ptolemy, because he was clever, supposedly, he must have known it's a globe. Do you know what I mean? Because only the smart people know it's a globe. This is what goes on in these people's minds.
Yeah.
And that's why Tim Osmond doesn't know what science is 10 years later.
So, Adam, this would be an interesting, if you don't have anything else to do, you got some spare time, could you find out if there is any primary documentation with Ptolemy? That'll be a 150 AD. So,
well, there won't be any primary evidence whatsoever, will there? But Ptolemy was a geocentrist at heart.
Understood.
I don't know whether he was. I think I would imagine he's going to have ball stuff. He's an early Greek philosopher. They love the ball, the Greeks. Do you know what I mean? That doesn't mean everybody around him. Don't mean the bloke that was bringing his tea in the morning thought it was a ball. It just means these elite intellectuals who are hypothesizing that these things. Not a worldview. You have to remember that, even if you can ascribe this in a historical sense to somebody posthumously, because it's always posthumously, these things.
Yes.
Because they are so long. You're ascribing it to him, not everyone around him. Like I said, the bloke bringing his tea didn't think it was this, did he?
Well, you said hypothesizing. Are these hypotheses, did they exist in perpetuity?
Hey, Kiwi, I think that your video isn't playing on YouTube.
Oh, thanks. Sorry about that.
Static.
Yep. Appreciate that. Thank you.
You got it.
Yeah. You don't need to see these guys, do you? You can hear them. You know what they look like. Shit.
Spheres, which given epicycles, that's not physically possible. And then on top of that, you have, or after him, you had Kepler, who, you had the observational crisis of Tycho's observations
We got the observational crisis again.
of Mars.
He thought I've just searched it. It does say he was a bit bally. Based on observations he made, so Ptolemy saw the universe as a set of nested transparent spheres with the Earth in the centre. Like I said, so he's geocentric. Oh, because what they were addressing earlier is kind of this parallax thing. They'll probably brush over it, but even if you're geocentric and you've got this huge universe, you've still got the problem of parallax to deal with. Yeah.
Yep.
They seem to be ignoring that, and they're trying. No parallax at best can be explained with one rotating star field, and even then you should have a bit of parallax. But that's the point they're brushing over. But that's Ptolemy's observation. Now, if he was just to stay there on that Ptolemaic viewpoint, it destroys this guy's worldview, Professor Rob Parks. Yeah, but it's him that's brought him up. So stay there with it, because Ptolemy's worldview will be his undoing if he stays there, because he cited it. That's the point I would jump on here.
You had the observational crisis of Tycho's observations of Mars, that 8 arc-minute discrepancy, and so that brought us from a helio.
You're on mute, QE.
You're on mute.
I
agree, though.
8 arc minute.
That's the mouse.
8. Shut up. Shutting up. 8 arc minute discrepancy of what? You've lost the. Do you think Boy Zero's audience knows what you're talking? Do you think that Boy Zero knows what you're talking about? What the hell are you talking about?
He's talking about a flat Earth elevation angle measurement.
Yes, he is.
Heliocentric circular universe to a heliocentric elliptical universe.
What?
So we've had observations and knowledge of the fact that we are in.
You've had observations from back then. What's that mean? Observe and declare. That's all you got. Nowhere near science. This is a religion.
And he's elliptical. Sorry, his elliptical universe nonsense. That was all born out of Kepler. There's nothing to do with any. What was it? 2/8 of a something of a discrepancy. No, had nothing to do with that. That's Kepler having to back engineer the actual sun cycle that we observe year in, year out, and place it on a globe that's orbiting that sun. The only way to do that is to create a tilt of that globe and have it set as an offset elliptical orbit. That's the only way, well, with the tilt of the globe, that he could explain the seasons. That's it. It's not to do with any other nonsense. It's Kepler making up a paradigm for all these people to believe in, and they all did.
Yep.
No.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
Yes.
No. Can you say the word discrepancy? Is a discrepancy in the position of this luminary? What's the discrepancy within?
Yes.
Not the luminary is not doing anything discrepant, is it?
Nope. No, it's nonsense. It's just generalized nonsense. He's not there. What's the benchmark? What's the plot? What's the canvas? You're a glue sniffer, widget air. This is baloney. This is all baloney. Go ahead.
Sorry, just to address Adam. Yeah, the discrepancy is added in after the fact. So they added a discrepancies prior to Kepler creating the paradigm that they now believe in. And the discrepancy, I know what Adam was pointing at, and obviously you know, the discrepancy, in case the audience don't realize, is is a heliocentric globe arc discrepancy that has no relevance to reality whatsoever.
Yep.
And it's based in prior to that paradigm even existing mathematically.
Universe for hundreds of years, and we have. I would push back on the fact that we have not challenged that.
That's an argument to age fallacy. Another logical fallacy. You're piling them up there, Parks. Oh, this is Witsit. He muted. He's talking, and no one's hearing him, so this is not on me. Let me go ahead and Fiverr a couple times before the audience tells him he was on mute.
In his history, Galileo wrote a letter on his, before he died, denouncing heliocentrism. They had his name erased, and no one's ever heard of that. And then Copernicus himself said,
who cares about letters about Galileo? Galileo wasn't a scientist either. So why are we talking about letters, disappearing letters from non-scientists back in medieval times? Was he in medieval times?
that the heliocentric model, it doesn't matter if it's
No. There is no this is what I'm talking about, people. There is no heliocentric model. See, you've been out here for what, 6 years now? They've Jedi mind tricked into you thinking they have a model. So that's why you parrot it and then give it to them. Can we see this heliocentric model, baltards? Can we have a little gander at it? I haven't seen it. And I've been out here since May 15th, 2016. I have yet to see it. Why is that?
It's true or even plausible. It's just convenient to explain phenomena.
No, models don't explain phenomena. You don't know what explanations are, and you definitely don't know what models are. You're talking out your ass as usual.
I find that that's not what we're told. I mean, Copernicus didn't have a telescope, right? He did this with his naked eye. He didn't have some astounding observation or anything. Whatever. I think that it's back and forth. It's like, oh, what are we doing? When we get up to the 20th century, though, everything changed. Michelson Morley threw a wrench into everything.
It was only a matter of time. My God.
My God.
If he was single and he was out on a date, how often during that date would Michelson Morley come up? Probably every 4 or 5 minutes.
Oh, boy.
Right. I mean, I can show you endless quotes from Albert Michelson himself, from Einstein, from Arthur Eddington, Wolfgang Pauli, you name it.
So, typical tactic he uses, he starts the name drop. Usually in long list, he does this a lot. Call his bluff. Let's see him. Is there any demonstration of their claims? If not, they're all worthless. How about that? Because Mr. Explanations, he's Mr. Explanation guy. And the ballers know it, so they ask him to explain stuff he hasn't made claims for. Along with his mantra of falsification is independent of replacement, and he's an alternative cosmologist. Just ask him to explain anything. Just make something up. Can you please explain it? He'll do it. He'll do it. He thinks explanations are somehow this wand waving coverage that as long as he can explain something, everything's A-okay. You are a moron, sir.
It's like, oh, it looks like the Earth could be at rest. And we changed all of physics. We just changed.
This has nothing to do with physics. So why would he start flailing with his meat hooks now? Change all of what physics? I haven't heard any physics yet.
Changed all of physics, and we said, and then in 25, Hubble, I'll let you in 25, Hubble looks out.
Get a hold of yourself. Calm down, Mr. Flailer. What did Hubble do? He's not a scientist either. What is this, a pseudo-scientist festival between you two ignoramuses?
There, and he's like, oh, there's not any blue shift anywhere. Like, it's all
brother.
red. Why is everything red? Well, there should have been blue shift, and there wasn't really blue shift. So then they said, oh, well, everything's accelerating away.
Why should everything be blue shift and red shift? What is blue shift and red shift? Your audience is clueless. Just babbling incoherently.
It's like Brian said, they're just building rapport for the audience to show. So in their mind, they'd be like, oh, yeah, these guys understand each other. So where they deviate at the end, it's the same fucking formula every time. You work it in, and then at the end, you put your points across, and then you've got to decide.
Yeah. This is a clown show. They're on stage.
Away from us. But can I ask you like this? Let me ask you this, and then I'll give you plenty of room to just kind of tell me what you think of this. So leading up to, like, say, Hubble's observations, you have the idea of the Earth being in the center and the idea of it going around the sun. And the idea of us in this huge universe going around the sun, it's logical to think, oh, well, you're just going to see chaos everywhere. Like, you're just going to see things.
Logical. What logic is that?
Things going every which way. The Earth is insignificant. A little pale blue dot in the middle of nowhere. Geocentrism says everything's going to move in relation to us. It's going to look like we're at the center, and everything's moving directly in relation.
Stop! Geocentrism doesn't say anything. At best, it's a philosophy. It isn't saying anything.
To where we observe it from on the Earth. We then make the observations, and it looks like the latter. So at that point, one theory was correct with this prediction.
There was no theory. There was no scientific theory. You'd fail 5th grade general science.
The trouble with the term...
Sorry, go ahead.
Trouble with the term geocentrism, like I was saying there, is it still allows the invocation of the vacuum of space, stars. It just places a ball Earth at the center of it. Something that's still arguable by these guys. But it's not something that we should be kind of meeting common ground upon. You understand? You
Yeah.
Anywhere near this with it.
Yep. You got it.
Grossly wrong. They didn't even consider the one that predicted what we saw beforehand. You see what I'm saying? It's a bias.
Okay,
No. There were no predictions. You see, in science, predictions are hypotheses. You have no hypotheses. There are no predictions. This is a big old nothing burger from two half-wits.
The reason
There's
being...
a lot there to unpack. The thing about Galileo is...
Go ahead, sorry.
It relates to
half-wits.
Go ahead, Adam.
All of this, I mean, the previous point relates to this, and it's how this should have started out. Anybody like this, which is, okay, you've got all these degrees in qualifications, and I enjoyed all your lectures on this, that, and the other. Where is all of this stuff that your qualifications claim is happening? Where is it happening? Yeah? Let's just resolve that. It's the only point that's worthy of discussion.
Yes, sir.
Medium. Yeah? And if you can get past that, maybe there's a point. But if you don't resolve this most fundamental premise at the beginning, there's no point to any of it. You're just humouring him, because at every point this is all happening light years away, Flatsy, eh? Yeah, in the vacuum of space.
You're all over this. All over this. Ladies and gentlemen, did you hear what Adam said? They're arguing about things happening in Narnia. Or having a conversation about things happening in Narnia. They have to establish the medium's existence first. You guys follow that? Hopefully everyone gets that. Because you're just chasing after your tail. Anything beyond that.
I think you're on mute, QB.
I'm not on mute. Am I?
No. Oh,
No.
there you go.
I hear you.
It's one of those Irish jokes. He's just trying to throw you off your game. Just ignore him.
Yeah. So, like I said, this is all just a chasing after the wind. It's a nothing burger because they haven't established the vacuum of space. It's the same thing as arguing the lamps in Narnia. How does the fuel in the wicks work in Narnia? Well, wouldn't you have to first establish the existence of Narnia first? Just like you'd first have to establish the medium in what you're talking about here. And in this guy's worldview, it's a vacuum in direct violation of the second law of thermodynamics. Outstanding, Adam. Thank you for bringing that up.
Funny how that is the perfect analogy, because as I looked up earlier, his stellar magnetics, that's exactly what it is. So this fluctuation of the magnetic field is the thing that causes sunspots and sunflowers, i.e. how and why the lamps in Narnia flicker. That's his actual qualification, how lamps in Narnia flicker.
Yep.
What that is about is that they actually, you know, the way within a hydrogen fusion reactor, they must create a toroidal field to contain the plasma. But that will be contained. Yes, they're claiming that, let's say the sun within their paradigm it's a huge ball of hydrogen and helium plasma. They're claiming that that creates its own toroidal field, even though the plasma in reality doesn't do that.
Brian, are you on mute? Are you on mute?
Was he saying anything there? He's just flickering, weren't he? What's going on?
I didn't hear a word of that.
What? Are you guys
hear me?
like?
You don't hear me?
I can hear you, Brian. What? Are you guys silly?
Yeah, of course we're messing with him, Flatsy, but you had to spoil it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Flatsy.
Well, I'm trying to help keep everything running smoothly. Sorry.
Thank you, Flatsy.
And you're doing a fantastic job.
Not too quick on the
tell the boys to play fairly, Flatsy.
Not too quick on the uptake though. There at that moment, there, Flatsy. That's okay. That's okay.
Oh well, Brian does sound like he's in a tin can, though.
That's not the point.
No, he's just hands on. He's in the fusion reactor right now.
Was that appeal to acoustics, Flatsy?
Oh boy, here we go.
As we've brought up the subject.
Okay, go.
Oh no, we're not allowed to.
No, go ahead.
I don't know. We spend a fair amount of time critiquing Whitsitt because he gets about, which is great. He just needs to recognise what plosives are, move a little bit away from his mic, turn down his gain maybe 10%, and then lower his input line level. Because he's so much, he's close to actually having good sound, other than the plosives, because he's too close to his mic. His setup sounds alright to me. It's just too loud, and there's plosives. So,
what's up?
Yeah, deal with it.
What's up with the earphones?
Yeah, I said that, didn't I? So the whole point of having headphones on is to monitor your sound, right? And you're supposed to have your own line coming back into your own ears so you can hear how levels are comparing with you and your guest. It's like if he's massively out, it's like, why have you got the headphones on? Why are you actually listening to one of them? Clearly not, monitoring the difference between your level and his level. But there we go.
Yeah.
He's said he got a new setup, I think, at the beginning of this show, or something like that. Or he'd not done live streams before. I can't remember what it was that was new to Whitsitt. I want him from with a YouTube hat on. I want him to be successful, and I want him to sound better.
You would.
I have two things to say about that. I don't know that letter. If you send me a link, that'd be great. I do know that his public.
We're worrying about letters. Why don't you prove the second law of thermodynamics violation? Don't worry about letters there, Prof.
Work prior to that letter, he was fervently.
Fervently. That's a $10,000 word. So let's let him go.
Is fervently a heliocentrist. In fact, he also is quoted as saying that the Bible is a great book, but should not be taken as a scientific textbook or something.
Who said it was a scientific book to begin with? For him to say it's not a scientific textbook. Who really cares what dead strangers have said? Only what they have demonstrated. You get that? Probably not.
Something along those lines.
Was the guy saying it a scientist?
Say again?
Was the guy saying that a scientist?
No. Galileo wasn't a scientist. He never performed a scientific experiment in his life.
So what would he know?
Just like
Rob. You should take the Bible as true unless science tells you otherwise.
You take the Bible as true unless science says otherwise.
I get his address. I'll just go and ask science. You know, I need to know till further notice whether or not we can trust this stuff. So I'm going to need its address, its phone number, zip code, postcode for us in the UK. I'm going to need all of that so I can find out what it's going to tell me and then keep up to date. You know, till further notice means I'll keep up to date with science. What's its address?
But he's just pulled there. Pick your religion. That's what he just pulled.
What's his
It's like-
address? 6 feet under the ground. You're going to need some serious smelling salts and a really big friggin' eater.
He's just pulled the pick your religion gaff, where they say you have to either follow science or follow the Bible. This is the nonsense that they push.
Yes.
It's like you know, and it's like, what has that got to do with science? None of it.
None of it. Yep, it's pseudoscience, but they masquerade it as science and then put it in a false dichotomy. Yep, that's how they do it.
It wasn't the false dichotomy that triggered me, and it's not so much to do with this bit, but what happens when, and it's not the word science, when the heliocentric pseudoscience conflicts with the Bible? What we've seen that's going off a lot of the people do end side on heliocentric pseudoscience.
Yeah. You know what happened? You know what happens?
And give apologetics for the Bible.
You know what happens? What happened in Paris last night?
I was about to say that.
Yeah, sure you were.
Copernicus, I'm familiar with this preface, and the reason why he put that preface in, and the reason why he published the book near his death was because he was afraid of the reaction of the church.
Really? And you know this how? So he's talking about Copernicus now. So how do you know this? Go ahead.
Science told him. Science told him.
Science told him. Man.
Well, is it also possible that Copernicus, if he even existed, didn't say any of those things? And they just said he said after he died? And said it was just before he died, like the night before he published the book. Do you know what I mean? I think I'll publish that now because tomorrow I'm croaking it tomorrow.
Yeah. Clown.
Because he knew that the church wasn't really happy with the idea of
he's divining a complete dead stranger's thoughts.
Yeah, he's a scientist. He can do that.
Fair enough.
Of moving the Earth out of its prime position. What else was there that you wanted to say? Hubble. So actually, it wasn't Hubble that discovered the redshift. It was actually Slipher. But
I debunked that in 2008. That was my first. That was my first presentation, debunking redshift. Oh, and the CMB. Yeah, you need to check that out on my channel. CMB and redshift debunked. Clown.
Hubble combined Slipher's observations with
Who cares?
his own observations of distance. And what he found was that in the local neighborhood, what we call the local group.
The local group? Who is that, the Bee Gees?
I just want to stop you there. Stop.
You have proper motions dominate. So you have quite a bit of...
Hey, just relax. I'm trying to stop it, but my mic is acting up. I heard you just say it once, and I got you covered.
Okay. They're using this language, and I hear it more and more, and I remember it was what brought it up initially. The whole idea of having soil in the sky. Listen to his terminology. What did he just call where he was looking? You know where he's looking. He's looking in the sky. But what did he say about what he was looking at? Neighborhood. In our neighborhood.
Yep.
The whole thing's geared towards the idea that there's soil in the sky.
Blue shift, red shift variation. But once you got out to further distances, essentially the Hubble flow, as it's now called, is larger than the peculiar or proper motions of the individual galaxies. I would, again, push back.
The peculiar proper motions of particular galaxies. Where are these galaxies at?
Further distances too. How did you determine those distances?
Yeah.
Back on the idea that Michelson Morley said anything about the observation or the Earth being the center of anything. I know of only one quote by Einstein, and I believe that it's wildly been misinterpreted.
Quote that from Einstein that's been misinterpreted, eh? Okay.
And also another thing is, I don't really concern myself so much with quotes as I do with what the science is telling me, what the laws of physics tells
quotes,
me.
So you don't concern yourself. I'll take this one. So you don't concern yourself with citations. Have you graduated high school? Your quotes are citations. It's like the bibliography and the works cited page. You're not too concerned about them? Really, you clown. And then you're concerned what the science says? How can you be concerned with that? You don't know what science is. So how can you concern yourself with it? Go ahead.
He's tangling up his reification fallacy when he says he's not concerned with the quotes. Okay, that would be little ditto marks around the things that people have said. Right?
Yep.
I am concerned with what science says. You're like, okay, so what people say, forget that. What my reification of a methodology that has no lips to talk with, I'm going to concern myself with what that says. Okay, fine, I guess.
Yep, he needs to be institutionalized.
Maybe he's just matching Witsit's energy because that's exactly what he did earlier. So.
Pulled that trigger.
Okay.
It was something. Just to go off on a kind of historical note, something he brushes over with regards to Copernicus. He goes, oh, and the church might not have been happy with that. It's one of the things, if you look into it, it's one of those confusing points. You've got the Inquisition. And this is the answer from history as to why Copernicus wasn't persecuted. His heretical statements that, people were getting burnt at the stake for a lot less than suggesting the non-biblical setup of the world. Luckily, he died before his book was published. Yeah, that explains it in history. That contradiction. That's what you're given as to why it was allowed. And then later,
also simultaneously knew for thousands of years. The Greeks knew for thousands of years, but also there's this contradiction in terms where you might get persecuted if you say it's a ball, because everyone knows and has done for 2,000 years. So you've got to be worried about saying it's a ball. Makes no sense, but that's how it is.
So a more aggravated offense to heliocentrism being suggested on, but he gets put under house arrest. But a bunch of people died at the stake for trying to produce a translated Bible.
Tyndale
the church
got
did
burnt.
that.
Yeah, Tyndale specifically got burnt at the stake for merely attempting to translate it into the people's language. So just for trying to put it into words that the people could understand and read it, he got burnt at the stake. Meanwhile, the narrative would have us believe a guy that says fundamentally, what is the words of God in terms of what the heavens do? We fundamentally decry and say it's completely different. But that's all good. Good job his book didn't come out, right, Adam? Otherwise, he'd have been in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
Things of that nature. And then something else, the last thing I find I really want to talk to you about was every science class I teach.
You don't teach science classes. You don't know what natural science is. Every pseudoscience class you teach, in other words.
Science classes I begin with the paleoblue dot quote from Carl Sagan, which I have on my wall.
I thought you don't deal with quotes.
Oh, yeah, you said it.
Carl Sagan's not a scientist either. Carl Sagan's not a scientist.
No, he's not.
Doesn't matter. He could have quoted his mum. He doesn't quote people.
He just in the same breath, he focuses on a quote where he said he's not interested in quotes.
I don't think you're getting this concept right. He says, I concern myself with what science says, or it's wrong until science gives you further notice on the matter. When he says things like that, what he's actually talking about is like this Quato type character that comes out of this guy's stomach called science. Oh, science, tell us how it is. And he comes out and goes, great, we have a molten iron core. That's how it works.
That's not what they mean when they say the whole body of science.
You're a twisted individual,
science.
Nathan.
What? You never met science? Oh, he's lovely. He's really nice.
Quato. That brought back some memories. Yeah, but then you catch the biggest one. He just said he's not interested in quotes, and almost in the same breath, that's what he teaches his students on, a quote right up there on the wall. It's right up there.
He opens his science class with a quote from a pseudoscientist.
Yes.
Oh, good job.
Yeah. Clown.
And he talks about, this is us. This is everything that we are. We are basically all the saints, all the sinners, yada, yada. We are all in this dust mode.
Did he just yada saints and sinners?
Yeah, he did, yeah. I'll write this stuff down, shall I, Professor? And yada, yada, yada. Got it. You carry on.
Yeah, it's like the blah, blah, blah from this guy over here. Same crap.
I tell my students, there are some that I've encountered that
There's the
take
claw
that
hands.
idea and it leads them to believe that we are insignificant.
What's that?
These two are brothers in claw hand.
Oh.
I take it to be quite the opposite. We are it. We are humanity of all the vastness of the cosmos. Its scale and distance and size.
What the hell is going on here? What is it? What is this? Are you some type of clown or something? What are you doing? What is this op-ed piece about Professor Nutbag's take on all of humanity? And embarrassing.
For distance and time, we're it. I think that makes us remarkably significant. Because if the Earth were to, Thanos out of existence.
What?
That was Cartman.
Cartman?
I heard Cartman.
Who the hell is Cartman?
From South Park, but that was Vara, I think.
You got something
We
to say?
didn't quite hear that.
All right.
I think one of the guests got us on board. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
The universe wouldn't have us anymore. So
the universe wouldn't have us anymore. Can you define universe? Yeah, we're going to need that defined here, aren't we? What do you mean when you say?
This down. This is Michelle Thaler. He's saying we're rocks. Rocks are our cousins. That's where this is going.
Ah.
Yeah, I get that. Like,
you do. Well, why don't you get into it? I'd like to hear what you think the universe is. I would like to hear that. Be pretty shocking to your subscribers.
You can't even believe in a heliocentric model logically without believing.
You can't believe in a heliocentric model. Well, you can't accept without evidence something that doesn't exist. Profound.
It was created.
You can't logically believe.
Pause. What is invoked there is that the universe is a landlady. Not having as it's reified the universe now. And into having, I don't know where he's going. Is this how he theologizes the world, knowing that he's got a spiritual component? These are the ramblings of lost people, aren't they?
Yep. Yeah, Brian, did you have something to add?
Well, I said, how do you logically believe in something? Belief is not logical.
Exactly.
The vast majority of people that believe in it don't think that. They think that the sun and the moon appear to be the same size. It's just a coincidence. And to think that we just happen to live in a sustainable zone, and to think that there's just a perfect energy density that the universe spreads out flat.
Energy density, what? Like I said, I'd like to hear him define the universe.
These are supposed to be stereotypes of what everybody thinks.
Yes.
Okay. Does everybody think these things? Well, I'm thinking no.
Yeah. No.
And there's like endless amount of fine-tuning problems, right? I can't even fathom believing all that without saying God had to do it. But that's the craziest part about it.
He believes in God, but not creation. Just want Mr. Arrow Widget here, just to let you know.
You can't.
Believe in God because he can't figure out how it happened otherwise. That's not a reason to believe in God. Your own limitations, daft lad.
Pretend that just because you throw a dice a million times, it eventually lands on the.
What does this have to do with dice and probability? What are you talking about? Who knows?
How could he do a presentation using the basically most of your presentation on the proofs of the creator, excluding the first law of thermodynamics, and then say he believes in God, or belief in God. There is no after that. You can't believe after that. You can only know or deny what you know. You can't believe. It's not possible.
Million
Science
inside
is
it dies,
that.
eventually you get the Earth. And the people that are on the foundation blocks of this model, they were atheists. And
now we've got people on the foundations of a model. You're delusional.
What's he talking about as well? The people who created this were church people. What's he on about?
Don't know.
in fact, they say point blank that like the idea of being in the center is
who are they? They say who are these they?
terrific.
Hubble,
And didn't they
know what this is? It's Hubble. It's rinse and repeat. It's Hubble.
have the audacity, like Stephen Hawking, to pretend it makes them humble to deny the possibility? I have a geocentrism stream where I have 120 quotes. You know, like Einstein himself said that.
Well, he's not interested in quotes. He just told you while quoting that thing up on the wall.
Michelson, his compatriot, he's writing a letter. He says,
Sorry, go ahead, Adam.
What's a geocentrism stream?
I don't know.
He's got one.
Yeah, what's it? I guess did stream or live stream on it. Like we're doing a live stream on this.
Ah, right.
Brilliant.
I have a geocentrism stream where I have 120 quotes.
I thought it was
you
a
know,
body of water that went around.
Shut up.
Like Einstein himself said that Michelson, his compatriot, he's writing a letter. He says, your compatriot Michelson proved that nothing happens on the Earth as if it's moving. Everything on the Earth always takes place as if the Earth is at rest. Point blank said that. He said no optical experiment can tell the Earth is moving. No terrestrial experiment can tell that the Earth is moving. And honestly, just a basic understanding of.
Well, that's redundant because it wouldn't be an experiment anyway.
No, stop. It's profound. So you've got lots of proof of something not existing that you didn't need to attempt to prove anyway. It's misunderstanding who the burden is on when it comes to this crap. Right? Why is he wasting his time proving that something isn't real? I mean, I've got thousands of experiments that disprove these unicorns. Well, that's wonderful. Would it not be on the person claiming that unicorns are real? Would it not be their burden to prove that they're real?
Yes.
You assert that the Earth is turning. It's upon you to prove that. Not for you to provide experiments to prove non-existence.
And that's
Which it has to do that.
And that's a category error to begin anyway. But you got the overall point is taken. Yes. Go ahead, Brian.
Thank you. Sorry, QE. Which it has to do that. He has to focus on proving that the Earth is geostationary, or that the Earth is stationary and geocentric kind of thing. So, because that's all part of his grift, the ether grift. You know, I don't have to do any of that because I'm not pushing an ether grift.
So from his viewpoint, that's not a criticism. He's not there as a flat earther, okay? So if he can get a concession from this guy that there's a possibility that these things could or possibly maybe should be interpreted from a geocentric point of view, then that's a win, isn't it, for true Earth?
Yes.
Now, it's got nothing to do with flat Earth because nobody's mentioned the nature of the surface yet at all. But if you're here as a true Earther, this is great stuff. You're really dealing with a astrologist. In terms of this paradigm, working him to the point that actually you could just view the data set and you couldn't distinguish a difference between heliocentrism and geocentrism. And in fact, the odds point towards a geocentric view. You come out with any form of recognition, that's a win for true Earth.
Yep.
No to do with flat Earth whatsoever.
No,
but it's
what it isn't, it isn't. So what they've done is recognize that for whatever reason, the people are interested in flat Earth. And amongst that subject is the debunking of part of a heliocentric claim, which is to say that the heliocentrist suggests Earth turns. Well, in the same way that the final experiment needs to stack up a false dichotomy with Antarctica as an island on the bottom of a ball and Antarctica as an ice wall. In other words, once you've got the false dichotomy set up, your half isn't focused on for the assumptions that it holds because it's being stacked up in false dichotomy. With that in mind, when Whitsitt peddles his true Earth, he needs the same trick. He needs to stack up his true Earth paradigm and false dichotomy against the globe. Now, in so doing, he can then say with some air of legitimacy, because he's a globe debunker, globe buster, he's a flat earther. And all he's really doing is using the globe earth paradigm, stacking false dichotomy against true earth. So you don't notice all of the assumptions true earth has to hold. Then you can justify what the globe earth would suggest is an experiment and hijack their affirming the consequent fallacy and replace it with your own. That's what happened with Netflix. Take their assertion that gyro drift will prove Earth turns with affirming the consequent fallacies, then hijack the legitimacy of the experiment by saying the outcome's still the same, it's because of ether. They need the stacking up of false dichotomy just like the globe does. You don't notice the failings in his half of the false dichotomy. And as Adam just said, where in that false dichotomy does a flat Earth factor? It doesn't. It's surplus to his requirements. That's why they never talk about flat Earth. They don't need to. Just need the globe to stack up so they can replace Earth turn with ether. No flat Earth needed.
Yeah, because this is the thing, you see. If they were trying to push this ether carry on and there was no flat Earth people, right? There was no one saying the Earth is flat. They would get nowhere. They needed to use the momentum that was created by the flat Earth people in the past 10 years. They needed to use that to slowly insert ether, bit by bit by bit, starting with Bob just prior to the Netflix documentary, then the big one in the documentary with these gyro, and then from then on, it's like Whitsitt turned up then, and all these people turned up, and it's ether, and bit by bit, each time he's speaking to anyone on the opposition, he's not speaking about flat Earth, but less and less flat Earth all the time, which is what I said earlier, that I thought about it yesterday, and I couldn't think of anything else in any of the stuff I've listened to him from recently, where he's brought up anything to do with the Earth and its geometry, with the exception of Mount Canigou. That's only one thing.
It's not less and less unless they never talked about flat Earth. I said the other day, I would be getting banned from Globebusters 10 years ago, 9 years ago, because I've been moaning there's no flat Earth content here.
Yep. You're right. There wasn't. There's always globe debunking with NASA. That's all they actually really did. Let's continue.
Of relativity itself, like who cares what Einstein says? Relativity says you can't prove that the Earth is moving around the sun, right? And that is it.
Who cares what relativity says, but relativity says or Einstein says what? That didn't follow.
In response, direct response to relativity. Now you can look at stellar aberration and parallax and you can assume it.
You know what a direct response to relativity, either special or general, they're not scientific theories. That's the response.
You can assume that we're moving and this causes the stuff in the sky, but you can't actually detect it. You can't, no experiment can detect it. So that's where
again, that's non sequitur. You're in a category here. That experiments don't detect stuff. The only thing it detects is cause and effects. It's not going to detect something moving, you moron. Go ahead, Brian.
I think it was just me.
Oh, God.
By the same again. No, just triggered by the same point again. Experiments don't detect, do they?
Nope.
Say, I've set up this experiment to detect when my Canary's ready.
When your canary's ready?
My dinner.
Oh.
You know what I mean? What do you mean? So have this experiment to detect when I should get up for work.
Understand why we act like we know it. Why we teach 5-year-olds that we know it for a fact? Because we don't.
What about 4-year-olds?
According to relativity, you can't.
All right. So that's precisely the quotation that I was thinking of when Einstein, that I think is misinterpreted. Because if you go later in that same that same speech.
Whoa. Stinks about
you
quotations
dumbass
now.
cracker. How can, wait a second, Adam. Whoa. How can the quote be misinterpreted when you go to another part of a paper? That's non sequitur, you imbecile. You have to show within the quote how it is misinterpreted, not outside the quote, you dumbass cracker. You just admitted to it. You're a clown. Go ahead, Adam.
No swearing.
I just like the way he likes to reference other people's words.
Okay.
Oh, no, he doesn't. Yeah, he does. I don't know.
Well, you know what's funny is that did he even consider the fact that he might be misinterpreting the other thing he reads?
No, he hasn't. No.
That didn't come to be said at all. Can I just say something? Something just popped into my head a minute ago.
I'm thinking no.
Well, I'm going to say it anyway. I might get muted. But, remember Back to the Future? Remember Doc Brown in Back to the Future? He was like back in the 80s and that. He was like the ultimate mad scientist guy. And Einstein was always portrayed as a mad scientist, right? All these scientists are mad, right? Kooky, zany, mad people, right? But really, the only zany mad, to me, that's kind of programming, where they're looking for you to accept some crazy person's crazy ideas. Because, I mean, they say, name one person who's a real scientist. Right, someone who really has utilized the scientific method, who has proven or disproven hypotheses, that you could say that you could portray to the public as some kooky, crazy person. Right, you might come up with one or two, but generally you're dealing with people who are level-headed, right, logical, level-headed. But if you want to go to pseudoscientists, there's no end of kooky, crazy people with crazy ideas. So they were giving people this impression that these scientists are all crazy, mad people. You accept what they say because, they're just crazy and they must know better. They have all this maths and all these calculations and all these ideas. When really all they're doing, that's only the media getting you to accept rubbish like general relativity and ether, as well. That same kind of stuff.
Wasn't Einstein in Back to the Future the name of the dog?
Yes.
Somebody's really low out there.
When Einstein, that I think is misinterpreted, because if you go later in that same speech, Einstein clearly states that the Earth goes around the sun.
That's not misinterpreting the quote, you friggin' moron of an Egypt. You don't even realize how stupid you are. That was one of the stupidest things. I think it's top 5 of the dumbest things I ever heard a person say. You just train wrecked yourself. Sit back. Park, sit back and listen to what you just said about 5 times. If you don't get it, report to the who and where am I institution immediately. Okay, clown?
Adam, you want to go? I'll go after you.
That's after Kiwi's reactions is because he's just cited something, yeah?
Well, I think what he's referring to there, if you just correct me if I'm wrong, I missed a little bit of it. But what Whitsitt said about Einstein saying that there's no optical experiment that can prove the Earth is moving, right?
Yes.
Or terrestrial experiment, right? And Rob Parks is now trying to rebut that with him. Einstein said, no, he said the Earth the Earth does go around the sun at some other part of whatever, paper or whatever. It's like, for a start, how would Einstein know? What did he do to prove that claim that Earth is going around the sun, number one? And number two is that why would you, after Einstein said that, like what he said about there's no optical way or whatever to determine, to prove that the Earth is anything but stationary, right? After he said that, why would you feel that him saying then that the Earth is going around the sun is like that solid proof? After he's just telling you that there is no way to prove that. So he just told you there's no way to prove that. Go on, Nathan.
He's not interested in the quotes, Brian.
Yeah. That's the non-standard version.
That's it. Yeah.
Well, I guess you can I guess you can misinterpret somebody being contradictory. Really?
He said there's no terrestrial observation that could prove it, right?
Or experiment.
But things can be proven without observing them. You can feel things. I mean, it just general.
He has a non-positive claim to defend, right? Earth not moving. You don't have to prove it's not doing something.
Right.
This is him lining up the false dichotomy. Well, there's no experiment that could be proving Earth spinning. Well, ideally, his opponent says, well, Michelson Morley. Oh, well, actually, that's proving ether. You know, he just needs to stack this false dichotomy up. So, in this case, his opponent needs to be talking about experiments that are proving Earth does turn. So he can hijack that in false dichotomy and turn it into an ether debate.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's happening. He's lining up his dominoes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which agenda?
What I believe he means.
What I believe he means with what?
Who is he is
That can't even speak, can you? You're a dunce.
Let's just hear his full interpretation of what I'm
strong.
Hold on.
All right.
Just hear for like a solid 25-30 seconds. I want to hear it because it's about to give his full interpretation.
If we're going to do that, let me just make my point then. So he's going to cite Einstein as rebuttal, this guy that doesn't like citation.
You're going to beat that dead horse.
I am, because this is his argumentation. He wanted to get into stuff. He's not going to cite stuff. But instead of dealing with the topic, he's going to say, yeah, but this is the bloke said.
30 seconds.
He is talking about the strong equivalence principle, or what is now known as the Einstein equivalence principle. It's you cannot tell the difference between the sun, Earth going around the sun, or the sun going around the Earth. Ultimately, the two are equivalent. That's basically what he's saying. That is my interpretation of that quote, given what I know of GR. And so, yeah, I don't see how I don't agree with that sort of interpretation. And
you don't agree.
That's not the equivalence principle.
No.
That's not Einstein's equivalence principle.
No,
His equivalence principle. Yeah.
No, it's E equals
M.
Not according to Fight the Tight Shirt. E equals MC squared is Einstein's.
Don't convolute it, Brian. You're absolutely right. Right, this is not the equivalence principle. He's hijacking it to make it seem like you couldn't tell the difference because it's equivalent. It's just bastardizing a word that's got a principle attached to it that Einstein does use in rebuttal to this particular circumstance, and then said something that's non sequitur to it. Whether or not we can see the difference between us and the sun moving apparently above our head, the claim that we move around it, he's saying those two things are equivalent, therefore you couldn't tell the difference. He's labeling it as the equivalence principle from Einstein because he's the subject matter.
He's leaving it up to his interpretation versus someone else's interpretation. Like there's something to interpret. That's what's really making me just like laugh.
But that's not the equivalence principle, which is where Brian was about to go.
Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah. The equivalence. What he should be. What he's after just doing there is he's after just showing that he doesn't understand general relativity. The equivalence principle, the purpose of the equivalence principle, the actual purpose was that Einstein said that if I leave go of my phone, that it sits in free space and the Earth comes up to meet it, that it's relative for the observer, that they can't tell whether the phone is going down or the Earth is coming up to meet it, right? And this happened because he saw a guy falling off a roof. And he said from that guy's point of view that he couldn't tell whether he was going down or if he was sitting in free space and the Earth was coming up to meet him. Now that's a load of rubbish. The guy knew he was going down, right? Just Einstein's imaginings. But because he was talking about how the Earth is coming up to meet things, people start asking him, but we're on a globe, Albert. And that's where his equivalence principle comes in. Where we're on a globe that's constantly expanding outwards, so it's coming up to meet the phone you drop now in your place, QE, and the lighter I drop now in my place. It's coming up to meet both of them while they sit in free space, but space and time are curving in around the globe, and that space and time counteracts this expansion. So there's no effect, basically, if you understand what I mean. It's kind of a nothing, but that's how he explained it. But it has nothing to do with what he just said. What he just said there, he should have used the word relative, if he's going to use any word. But he tried to be smart and bring up the equivalence principle. That's not the equivalence principle.
There is one little thing that was...
Adam, you go, and then I want to slip in something that's an education point for the audience. But you go first.
Yeah, it's not on a side. It's just you don't need to. There was a little poker tell from him, Brian, which kind of alludes to what you've just described. He's trying to talk intellectual, but his honesty kind of lets it slip. He goes, or at least that's my understanding. If somebody does that in debate, they're subconscious giving an admission verbally. It's like NVC, but it comes out of their mouth accidentally, or at least that's my understanding, because they know fundamentally what they've just given probably wrong because they don't know what they're talking about, or at least that's my understanding. He puts it out there because this isn't a debate. You probably won't jump on it with it, but little...
Yes, Adam. Sorry, finish.
You ruined it for him, Brian.
I'm sorry, Adam. I'm sorry. I thought you were finished. I thought you were finished. I was trying to agree with you. Say yes, Adam.
I was.
Because what you're saying is true. What you're saying is true. The ordinary everyday person would say, I think what he means is that. And someone will go, yes, that's right, or yes, or no, that's wrong. And they go, okay then. But because he's a PhD, he's not able to allow himself to do that. He says, or at least that's my understanding of it. Where he's, as Adam called it, the poker tell, where he's giving it away that he's not sure what he's talking about. But the way he's giving it away is like he's like he's ratting on himself. But if someone then, the way he says, at least that's my understanding of it, that means someone else who does understand it could intellectually tell him where he was going wrong there, and he'd go, oh, I understand, and he takes it on board, and he intellectually then understands it better. You were pretending, right? That's what you were doing, instead of just being honest, right? Because you have a PhD, you're trying to pretend your way through life. No, you have to be honest. You don't know about it, so don't be bringing things up when you don't know about it. I don't talk about carburetors in cars because I don't know anything about them. It's that simple.
What's a carburetor?
I can't tell you.
Well, what it is, it's a thing that brings air into things and makes the engine. Well, at least that's my understanding, anyway.
Exactly. That's the most I could have said. Right? Well, it brings it. Yeah. How can I get? I mean, how many people are going to know that I don't know what I'm talking about? Loads.
Adam, boy.
But see, that's the thing. Sorry, QE. That's the thing with this. He knows most.
We got it. We got it the first time. We got it. We don't need to hear it again.
No, you need this part. He knows that most of the audience don't know anything about general relativity, and they are normally intimidated by it. So he'll get away with that. Kind of like what Witsit does.
True.
But if it was me trying to do that with carburetors, loads of people would know that I'm making stuff up.
Yeah, because you can't pronounce it.
Yeah.
That's the first tell.
Okay, come on.
20.
Hang on, you have your own show.
Like Descartes.
Einstein said it, he was wrong. We can make observations that say that the Earth
in the
is
Bronx, isn't it?
Okay, wait a second, Adam. Fucking cease and desist. Listen to what he says.
Interpretation. And even if Einstein said it, he was wrong. We can make observations that say that the Earth is
whoa. You gotta let him finish. Okay? I'm gonna do it one more time.
Obviously,
yeah, I don't see how. I don't.
Adam, you're gonna piss me off.
Pissing me off a bit, to be fair.
Do you have something to say?
Did, but because of your grumpy attitude, it will now forever be lost to the universe.
Well, just wait till he gets done with what he says, and then your floor is yours.
And so, yeah, I don't see how. I don't agree with that sort of interpretation. And even if Einstein said it, he was wrong. We can make observations that say that the Earth is moving around the solar system, going around the sun.
There you go. Yeah?
Is he going to show it?
No, Adam, floor's yours. Go.
I'm not doing it now. I'm going to leave you forever with that thought.
All right, I'll take care of it then. You want to play that shit? I'll take care of it. I'll pull a J myself. Listen to what he says.
See how I don't agree with that sort of interpretation. And even if Einstein said it, he was wrong. We can make observations that say that the Earth is moving around the solar system, going around the sun. Well, really, the sun and Earth are going around each other with respect to a certain barycenter.
Barycenter. Boy, that sounds sciencey. Oh, really? You sure about that? Let's take a look at renowned cosmologist George Francis Raynar Ellis. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a large pipe-hitting pseudoscientist about 15 to 25,000 levels above this crayon muncher that we're listening to now. Let's see what he has to say. From Gibbs, Watt, George Francis Raynar Ellis, Thinking Globally, Acting Universally, Scientific American. Listen closely, you glue-sniffing Egypt. People need to be aware that there is a range of models that could explain the observations. For instance, I can construct you a spherically symmetrical universe with the Earth at its center, and you cannot disprove it based on observations. You can only exclude it on philosophical grounds. In my view, there is absolutely nothing wrong in that. What I want to bring into the open is the fact that they were using philosophical criteria in choosing our models. A lot of cosmology tries to hide that. This was lifted from me by Hanoi Jaron back in the day, and Hanoi Jaron made a name with himself with this after I found this, by the way. Just a little color. So this directly pummels your dumbass into the incoherent oblivion, Parks. How you like me now, clown show?
And for the audience's benefit, that's not to say that QE endorses this. He started off by disclaiming this man as a pseudoscientist, and there's a lot of issues with him claiming that models explain things, but it annihilates his claim of observation. That's the point.
Yep. Anything else?
Yeah, the guy you just read out, the quote you just read out there from that guy would be like the Denzel Washington of cosmology, whereas Professor Parks would be like an extra in a movie. The Denzel wasn't even in.
He's not even on the movie set. Parks says it. He's out there. He's in there cleaning the toilets at best. Yeah. So you're finished with your last statement. You're a clown. You're a pretender clown. We're going to finish it up with that because it's getting late. Final comments.
I heard no flat earth stuff out of with it. Again.
25 minutes of content from which it's 0 for a flat earther to take in and digest. There was one thing I thought I'd drop it in, but Q I could detect wanted a gnarly point to actually round out with, which he just did. When earlier it was too tangential to drop it in earlier. Brian was talking about the equivalence principle, and the idea of the equivalence principle ties into another, I don't know if I can call it a form of gravity, but when they're talking about G forces in context with us moving in a upward direction or vertically, right? You just move the bar from 0 to 1, is to say that when you're not doing anything, you're considered to be at rest. You're not in the heliocentric paradigm. You're experiencing 1G. Now, in a very confusing way, when they, for instance, stick you in the vomit comet and drop you, you experience what? 0. That is to say, when you're hurtling towards the ground, that's 0, right? 0G. Now you're hurtling towards the ground. This is a way of basically moving the goalposts where they have a net force 0. Explain how you're stuck to the outside of a ball. Just claim you've got 1G when you're on a scale that would infer that you're at 0. That logically leads to the need to justify why on that scale falling is 0. Just make a big song and dance about it. In other words, the tricky, sticky wicket that they find themselves on with that scale description leaves them in the absurd position where you're falling and simultaneously at 0. So they just gave it a name. 0G. Well, you can go and pay for it. Just make a song and dance rather than leave the absurdity hanging out there for someone to ridicule. Sell it instead.
Is that kind of like 93 million miles is 1 astronomical unit? Is that kind of like that?
Not really. That's just 1 unit of scale for the Keplerian and huge.
Yeah, it's used to be able to mathematically or make it easier to talk about those types of distances with light years. Ha! Brought it back to light years.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah, 1.
Yeah. So with that with that citation that I read out that YouTube's now looking at, the whole heliocentric, geocentric circle jerk is ended with that citation. The whole conversation's over. It stops right there. It's a nothing burger. Everyone seeing this? You want me to read it again?
Yes, please.
Because renowned cosmologist George Francis Rayner Ellis, like I said, large pipe hitting, even past, not past him, but he worked with him back in the day. What's his name? He helped me.
Right, Ian, Tony, Marshall,
Stephen Hawking. So they were partners back in the early 70s, but George Francis, he's way upper. Listen to what he says. Listen closely. People need to be aware that there is a range of models that could explain the observations. That's the only thing that's being done here, folks. Observations. For instance, I can construct you a spherically symmetrical universe with the Earth at its center, and you cannot disprove it based on observations. It's all over right there. You can't do it on simple observations, and that's all they're doing. It's over right here.
So a pseudoscientist debunks the heliocentric model, whatever you want.
It renders everything moot. Right here. It's all over. What did that take me? 15 seconds? That's the end of it. Just wanted to stress that before I rocked out of here.
It's being used as an opener to the false dichotomy that we've argued with for the last 10 years, by the sounds of things, but it does essentially end it based on their own standards of observation. It renders all astronomy and cosmology in the heliocentric context null and void.
Yep.
Absolutely correct.
Yeah, exactly. Because it basically points out that all these observations you're making don't mean anything, because the only models you can create from them are philosophical.
Yep.
So they don't mean anything. You have no actual evidence of anything.
Can somebody tell Whitshead? Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say the way that you can show that in action currently is with Adam, with his Chinook helicopter claim. Like, so if you want to affirm the consequent with a globe, well, I can just introduce a new model and say I can explain it with the Chinook helicopter model.
Yep.
Like, it doesn't mean anything.
Why? Because, as outlined in that statement, the only thing you've got is observation. Don't extrapolate any cause and effect from observation just of itself. If you can't manipulate anything, we're not doing science, yeah? But at best, like you say, and that's a great admission to me. It doesn't mean anything, but it's an intellectual recognition of what they're actually doing. That through observation, they construct models that they may or may not believe.
Yep.
But actually, any model you construct doesn't mean anything, and you can construct one that shows we're at the center of everything and we're not moving.
Wait a second. We got where's Wally? He objects. Observations. Oh, not when I have provided all the scientific rigor.
No, wait to the next one. The final experiment is, and all in caps, is an experiment. I'm going to go and look at the sun, or maybe I'll not see the sun. That's an experiment.
Did he see?
It's new official.
Did he see our review? I'm sorry. Did he see our review of his scientific rigor? I don't think he's seen that review of Dave Twangle's McKeegan's. Remember he popped it up. Remember, Nathan, I told you to stop there and we went over it. I guess Wally hasn't seen that part yet.
He has another one on my channel. Sorry, Nathan.
Yeah, Brian.
I'm just saying he has another one on my channel about the pitch data. He says, how do you know what this pitch data is going to prove or disprove? How do you know it's going to show us what shape the Earth is, kind of stuff? He says, what are your independent and dependent variables?
Yeah.
My God, you're telling me after, what is it, 7 years, they've reached the level of Spurs after 6 months?
Yep.
Wow.
Spurs was better than that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Spurs
analogy.
Spurs was more advanced with science than they have been demonstrated now after 10 years. He took 6 months. Yeah, we ribbed him, but we have high standards. They're not even reaching that standard 10 years later. Wow.
Nope. Hey, where's Wally? Listen, you can show up because I have to go. It's getting late. It's past dinner time. But you can show up next Saturday because BALLBUSTERS episode 126 will be next Saturday also, and we'll continue on from where we left off. Nathan, take us home.
With that, I'm going to say first and foremost a huge, massive, enormous thank you to BALLBUSTERS panel for making today's live show possible, and of course a massive thank you to all of you for liking, commenting, sharing, hitting the super chat and all that good stuff. Massive thank you to our illustrious host Quantum Eraser. I've been Nathan Oakley, and we will see you all in the next BALLBUSTERS.